a beautiful night. Autism Awareness Night here at the ballpark, and the Tigers, a little bit of a short week for LSU. Again, they played Monday at home and then traveled on the road for this Thursday series, so they might be just a little bit out of whack as Arkansas finished out their series Sunday afternoon at Texas A&M. Fans are calling the Hogs. We're ready for softball. LSU and Arkansas. LSU has played 4 more games than have the Hogs, but a lot of similarities between these two teams as you look at the numbers. And Danica Coffey, the third baseman, steps in, and even 60 hits on the season. And the first pitch in there for strike one. Cameron Ellison, our plate umpire this evening. The earlier start always means there's shadows in the outfield, sunshine surrounding home plate. Heron's next pitch misses outside. Does it make it tough to see early on with that sunshine shadows contrast?
If I remember correctly, the worst sun here was like during the day, like around 1 or 2 o'clock. It just depends. But you can tell by the shade of how it's setting. And especially if you look at home plate, they're shaded until you get to the pitcher's mound. So I'm sure that has to have some effect on seeing the ball a little bit coming off the bat.
Tell you what, though, Coffey is very patient to begin with. She has walked 45 times this year, so she will swing here and lift one to left, and Kramer back into the shadows will make the catch for the first out. One gone for Jayla Lassiter. Lassiter, 52 hits on the season. Transfer out of Ole Miss. She is an Alabama native and takes strike one. I was mentioning that Heron a year ago at LSU only threw 2 1/3 innings against these Tigers. They didn't see much of her. Linestock, Cammons, and Burline all pitched as Arkansas took the first 2 and then lost the finale 1-0. But I would imagine, as we've seen pretty much most weekends, she's thrown in 2 games, sometimes even 3 over the course of a weekend.
And I think that could work in Robin Heron's favor. I mean, they haven't really seen her hardly at all. I mean, you know, new players in the lineup, and they may not have ever seen her before. I mean, this is a crucial, crucial weekend for both teams on seeding purposes.
Again, conference tournament starts next week in Athens. Last chance to kind of move up, put some more points on your resume, so to speak. Both of these teams extremely good from an RPI standpoint. LSU 5, Arkansas 6. Wins are tough to come by in this league, though, and both hoping to get a series victory. 3-1 to Lassiter. Offered it a high one and fouled it back.
And going off of what you said, what's not to love about the SEC? Any team can win on any given weekend, and, you know, it doesn't matter what your record is, and that's what's so fun about playing or having played in the SEC is it's a dogfight every single game, whether it's game 1 or game 20.
At times it must feel like a grind. I know when you're winning series, it does certainly lift the spirits. And Arkansas coming off an incredible road series victory at A&M against the number 1 or 2 ranked Aggies as Lassiter takes ball 4. And Arkansas, at least in one poll, got as high as number 2. That's the highest ranking in any of the 4 major polls in program history. And I know Courtney Deifel on this Razorback team, they're not focused on it. She said, hey, it's great, but you know that you're just constantly right back in that grind against another good team.
And that speaks volumes to Courtney Deifel's ability to turn a program around. And she's been consistent, very consistent, and it's so impressive what she's been able to do year after coming to Arkansas.
They found the secret sauce how to win on the road. I mean, they've had this incredible stretch, winning 18 of their last 20 road series. Obviously, this is a pretty good home field advantage as well. And the 1-0 to Bajuran, the catcher, misses outside.
And that's an impressive stat, being on the road, winning that many times, because, you know, it's easy to lose focus when you're not at home. You're traveling, you're in somewhere new, you're in a hotel. So kudos to all of the girls for being able to step up, even when they're not used to, you know, playing at their home field, and they're there. They're like, hey, we're here, we're going to come in, and we're going to upset you.
I know for LSU, again, everybody playing this Thursday, Friday, Saturday slate because it gives you one extra day going into the conference tournament. It's not ideal from a turnaround standpoint, but just part of the natural rhythm of a season. Robin, after missing in the first two, paints one on the corner for a strike to Bergeron.
I think that was my least favorite weekends playing, was when you had the Saturday, Sunday, Monday series, and then you get somehow the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and you're like, oh my gosh, my body needs a break.
Almost doesn't seem fair, but Tigers ready to go, maybe going on adrenaline. And you think about it, KB, they were run ruled in game 1 at home against Florida, came back to win games 2 and game 3, really pulled away late on Monday night, so that was a pick-me-up of sorts.
Absolutely. I was very shocked looking at that first game, and, you know, LSU took it as, hey, we're going to come back, and they punched them in the gut two games in a row.
It was not much fun to be run ruled in the opener of that series. The last time they had been run ruled, it was against Arkansas in 2019. But the count has gone full to Bergeron. Here's the payoff pitch. That's a little bit high. That's ball 4. And how about a couple of free base runners before Tori Edwards steps to the plate? And already a quick visit in the circle with Coach Deifel coming out to visit with Robin Herron. I think there may be an issue with the landing spot in front of the pitching rubber from Robin Herron, so I believe they're going to ask the grounds crew to come out and maybe put a little diamond dry in that landing area. I didn't notice her fighting that just a bit, but even before Courtney Deifel got to the circle, she was pointing and kind of gesturing to Robin and that landing area.
I know, and I find that interesting because I did pitch back in my day. What softball player didn't? But you really didn't in high school have a choice to say, hey,
that's right,
come fix the mound for me. You just have to kind of fight through it.
A little bit of a timeout before Tori Edwards bats, and I would say it doesn't matter if it's baseball, it doesn't matter if it's softball. Sometimes those pitchers might take an inning to kind of settle in, but obviously in a 7-inning game, the last thing anybody wants to do is give up a couple of runs out of the gates. And this is a dangerous hitter in Tori Edwards, waiting. This series history has been pretty one-sided. LSU 63-17, and pretty one-sided as well here at Fayetteville. Arkansas, though, has won 9 of the last 12, including that series win a year ago in Louisiana. And I got to believe from your days between Alabama and here, there's a couple of schools that get your attention a little bit when you play them. One might be Auburn, one might be Tennessee, and another might be LSU or Florida.
LSU, I mean, like we talked about earlier, you don't take a weekend off, but LSU and Florida, absolutely. They're always at the top, you know, always top contenders. So and they're always super, super competitive. You know, they're bringing the fire every time you play them. So you don't take anyone lightly, no matter who they are, because I remember a couple of games, even at Alabama and Arkansas, that teams we thought we would be able to beat, and we were like, oh, dang. And then, of course, you know, you get a little talk after the game, and you get back into that right mindset.
Well, speaking of you playing against LSU, let's go in the Wayback Machine. Now, it wasn't that far back, but let's take a look at how you began a game against LSU at Bogle Park. Look at this no doubt shot. There's a little swag right there with that bat flip.
I think I was feeling myself a little bit.
You were feeling something, yes.
And if you notice in the back jumping around, it was my brother-in-law jumping around in the outfield with with his Walmart cooler.
You know, those moments are fun to look back on too. It wasn't that long ago, but you know, those are, I'm sure, some swings you don't soon forget.
Oh no, I definitely will never forget that one. I remember saying before I got out of the car, I'm gonna hit a home run my first at bat, and sure enough, I was like, there's no way. If you see me rounding third, I was pointing because I was like, I told you.
That's the reason for the bat flip that I enjoyed.
I had to watch that one go out.
We're glad to have KB back. She was here for the Colorado State series that got cut short by a game, but you did get to be part of a perfect game.
I did. And I remember on the broadcast, I didn't say don't, break up the no-no, but I was telling Josh, hey, and I didn't want to say it because I was like, if I'm the one that messes this up, I'm going to be devastated.
Well, it was unusual because normally a perfect game doesn't end on offense, but it did because of the 5-inning run rule. Burline threw, I think, 46 pitches, only had a couple of strikeouts. So what was fun about that game then is post-game, Brie Ellis got her golden ticket to play in Athletes Unlimited. And as Courtney Deifel said, that's almost 2 once-in-a-lifetime memories in one day.
I know. And, Reese, she pitched a phenomenal game. That's one of the best games I've ever seen her throw. She was very effective. She was having like 4 to 7 pitch innings, so it was like ground ball, pop up. She did wonderful, but I know for Brie Ellis, that's something she's been dreaming of since she was a little girl, and incredible. I mean, to have a season like she's having and then to get drafted, oh my gosh, you can't ask for anything more perfect.
Coach Deifel talked about Brie's humility, and she said that Brie was almost apologizing to Reese, saying, "I'm sorry, I'm taking some of your thunder away from your perfect game." But just some of the fun we've had at this ballpark in the last month. Hasn't been a lot of fun for Robin Heron in the top of the first. A couple of base runners aboard for Tori Edwards of the 18 homers and 68 runs batted in fame.
And Tori Edwards, this is not someone you want to come up in the first inning with the runners on first and second and only 1 out. She has 18 homers. I know she's searching for that 19th.
That one's a little bit elevated. It's a team that doesn't hit a lot of homers, 40, but again, Edwards has 18 of those. And we talked about her numbers in SEC play. It has been a lot of fun for Tiger fans to watch her progression this season. In fact, in SEC-only games, she has the top batting average, better than Ella McDowell or Brie Ellis or Reagan Johnson or others. Third best on-base percentage, second best slug in conference games only. She works with a unique stance with those hands held very high, almost above her helmet. Fouls one right back to the screen.
And you worry about kids, not necessarily worry about them, but coming from high school, you go into that last summer of travel ball, which there's great competition. You worry, how are they going to do when they get to college? And I mean, Tori Edwards, Ella McDowell, they did not skip a beat whatsoever.
High pop-up that'll be back to our right and out of play. Quite honestly, you're talking about 2 freshmen that we featured in the open, both batting cleanup in their team's respective lineups.
That is something I would love to just go around and see all the lineups in the SEC, because I'm not sure how many girls are hitting in their 4 holes that are freshmen.
Well, Robin Heron got Edwards to climb the ladder and chased one up in the zone for strike 3, and that's a big second out.
This pitch by Robin Heron, I think this might be one of her biggest strikeouts of the game. You absolutely do not want Tori Edwards to be up with runners on first and second, and she, puts her down big, strikes her out.
Mackenzie Rudity, the right fielder, next in. LSU trying to strike first in the top of the first inning. Just the climb on that rise ball, though, to Edwards, really impressive. It ended up around her neck, and there's another one that's elevated. It pops in the air, and Kennedy Miller, wearing those sunglasses, popped on the ball before Lassiter would try to advance. I think she's worried about trying to see. She's got the glasses on underneath her mask.
And I think that's a pitch that's a little underrated from Robin Heron. You don't hear that. You always think, okay, curveball off speed, but Robin has a great rise ball, as we just saw against Tori Edwards.
We talked a lot about her changeup this year. I think it's a great compliment with the rise ball and the changeup. See what she does on this 2-1 pitch. Went down in the zone, but that one did sneak away from Kennedy Miller, so that is a free base, and now there's 2 runners in scoring position. Sometimes it's the free base. This is such a good defensive Arkansas team that you hate to give anybody a pass ball. And that's blocked nicely by Miller, but it's ball 4. So after the Edwards strikeout, Rudity draws the walk, and the bases are loaded on 3 free passes in the top of the first inning.
And I think that's something that I've seen a lot this year, not just Arkansas or LSU, but walks are one of those things that in the first inning you absolutely do not want to walk a batter. And I feel like 9 times out of 10, and I don't want to jinx anything, but a lot of the time those walks end up scoring.
It certainly sets the table for Jaden Leno, the left fielder. Another one of the players batting better than .320 in this starting lineup. Coming off a 3-for-3 game on Monday in that series clincher, including a couple of RBIs. Robin's fighting that pitch down in the zone a little bit, isn't she? I'm not sure if that's the true changeup or just a bit of a drop pitch.
And I think where Robin normally misses, she ends up missing some on the dirt a little bit. So that's, something as a catcher. Kennedy's probably very used to that. But sometimes, like we saw, the ball will get away from you. Right now, 2-0 count, 2 out. So this is a pretty big moment, and we're only in the first inning. I feel like we should be in, the third right now.
I do, too. As a hitter, can you eliminate that down pitch or that changeup until she throws it for a strike?
I would say so. I mean, if she's having a hard time throwing really any pitch, drop ball, changeup, that's not something that, I'm going to go up there being worried about, essentially. Now, I mean, there's been plenty of times that I've had at bats where I know the changeup is going to be a pitcher's go-to pitch, but I never was one to sit changeup. I hated it, so I try to avoid it at all costs.
Well, Herron battled back for the strike, but still behind in the count. Here's a 2-1. Trying to work at the bottom of the zone. That was close. She didn't get the call. Now it's 3-1. Arkansas has had some activity going in their bullpen. I think when any time you throw a starter out there in game one of a series, you have designs on them going deep in the game. Right now, 31 pitches in. Hawks trying to get Herron through the top of the first. Painted on the corner, and the count's gone full. Now the runners will be able to take off just a bit early.
And I feel like that might have been a strike. It's the first inning. They're still working to establish a zone. We're seeing this from an angle, so it might have not clipped the corner, but it looks like it.
Payoff pitch fouled back, and we'll do it again. Regardless of how this inning ends, Herron has invested a lot as far as the pitch count.
I mean, 33 pitches in the first inning. I would say she might need to cut it down to maybe 10 an inning from 10 to 12 from here on out. But, I mean, hey, props to her. She's gotten this count full. She's got 2 outs, so let's see what she does right here.
Crowd rambunctious on the payoff pitch. Ground ball to Ellis. She's got it back to the bag, and my goodness, did Robin Herron and the Razorbacks walk the tight wire and get to the other side without falling. Arkansas coming into bat. LSU left the bases loaded in the top of the first. Junior pitcher Sydney Brazan beginning her warm-up tosses.
And she's going to take a brunt of the innings for LSU, coming in with a 3-point, read the wrong one, SEC only. She's going to have a 2.29 overall ERA, so you're going to see her ERA lift up a little bit into SEC play. But even last year, she was able to take a lot of the innings for LSU, and she's going to throw a drop ball about 60% of the time. So I think that's something that any team is going to do their homework on and be able to look for the ball down, learn how to move up in the box or move back in the box to avoid the drop ball or to either hit the drop ball.
Take a look at the lineup for Arkansas. Reagan Heavy at the top, Johnson and Kramer, then Brie Ellis. Ella McDowell has been batting cleanup over the last few weeks. Wyckoff, Day, Rio, Davison, and Miller. This has been the starting 9 for a bulk of the campaign. Well, Reagan Johnson is on a tear. 26 for her last 59. Had back-to-back seasons with 70 or more hits. You can see a path for her to get to that number again. And Berzon runs one in at the knees for strike 1.
And you don't see LSU playing Reagan Johnson with 3 fielders over on the left side. And we've seen that a lot this season where she's going to have 3 fielders over on the left side.
It's been fun to watch her in the last several weeks. In fact, she had 6 hits, couple of walks at A&M. She's up to 211 career hits with 1 more year to go.
And Reagan, she started out a little bit slow, but, you know, as we've talked about before, when you start conference play, the competition's going to get better. It's going to get better and better. And Reagan's another one of those players that she's really settled in, and her batting average has gone up. It's not gone up too much, but she's done a lot better in SEC play, and you can tell by when she's in the box, she's able to place the ball a little bit more. She's been bunting a little bit more. Her strikeouts have kind of lowered a little bit. So I think, you know, kudos to her for turning her average around.
Sometimes I think the soft contact has been more of her friend than the harder contact, just deadening the ball in front of the plate, although she will take ball 4. So the walks have been in vogue early in this game. And maybe no surprise, these are two of the best on-base percentage teams, two of the best base-on-balls teams in the league. I think they both collectively understand the strike zone. Heron fought her command a bit, and now Burline walks Reagan Johnson to get to Reagan Kramer. Kramer, one of the seniors, winding down her career, and Courtney Deifel said she's instrumental to the growth of the program. And she takes a high strike, and one of the most quiet, productive players in program history. Speaking of on-base percentage, those two are right there at the top.
Absolutely, and I was able to play with Reagan for 1 year, and she's just a kid that she brought it every single day. She was willing to go play second base, to go take balls at shortstop, outfield, wherever you wanted to put her. She's just a kid that you want on any team, and just so easy to coach. And Courtney Deifel has said that so many times. She's just someone you want in your lineup.
It must be so irritating to have her bat ahead of one of the most feared hitters, maybe the most feared hitter in college softball in Brie Ellis, because you know Burline is conscious of the fact that it's Ellis and McDowell to follow. The last thing she wants to do is issue back-to-back free passes, and she just does catch that outside corner.
And I can't imagine being a pitcher, because you know Brie Ellis, she's lingering in your mind.
Yes, she is.
The whole time. I mean, she's hitting 500 basically, so it's like, okay, we have a 50% chance of her getting a hit or not.
Did Kramer offer on the appeal? Yes, rung up. Shane Jackson says that's a swinging strike 3. The pitch was out of the zone, so it's rare for Kramer not to get that ball 4, but what a huge sequence for Burline and LSU with Brie Ellis coming to the plate. I thought it was a swing.
Oh, I would say so.
And Brie Ellis takes ball 1. We hate to miss any of her pitches. Brie leading the nation in home runs with 24. She's 1 ahead of Megan Grant, who has 23. Needs 1 for the program record. She needs 2 to equal the SEC single season record.
I mean, Brie Ellis, everybody knows who she is. She's incredible. On base percentage, walks, batting average, OPS, RBIs. There's not one stat that you don't look at and go, wow, this is very, very, very impressive.
To your point, KB, only 5 players in NCAA history since the early 80s have finished a season batting above 480 while hitting 20-plus home runs, and that very much is a possibility. The home run number's already there. The question is, will teams pitch to her? What will they give her to hit? She's just going to hammer a lot of foul balls, and we've seen this time and time again, whether teams have pitched to her, pitched around her. They have to be ready for a long AB, and there's her ranks. Slugging percentage, homers, batting average, on-base percentage.
And Brie Ellis, she's not only just a good swinging the bat hitter. She's very patient in the box. Now, I will say, I've seen her hit a couple of home runs like a foot off the plate, and I'm like, how did you do that?
Speaking of which, driven high in the air, deep left field, she ties the program record. 25 home runs, a no-doubter, almost to the parking lot. Arkansas strikes first. Brie Ellis does it again, chasing history and putting the Razorbacks in front.
I think I jinxed him again. I did that all against Colorado State. I would say something, and then that is exactly what would happen for both teams.
She had a homer the other day at Texas A&M that hit the top of the scoreboard that went 262 feet. I'd love to know the distance. She ties Braxton Burnside, one of your former teammates from the 2021 campaign, one away now from an SEC single season record.
And Brie Ellis, she has plenty of games left to do that. I mean, they could go far in the SEC tournament. Same thing, regionals, super regionals, possible World Series. She has no pressure on her back. If that's something she's trying to chase, there is absolutely no pressure.
You know the dangers of pitching to Ellis, even when first base isn't open. And it also shows you just how far she can hit a ball, and this is Ella McDowell.
And that's one thing about having a huge hitter like Brie Ellis in your lineup is 9 times out of 10, you know, if you're in a crucial situation, they're going to put Brie Ellis on. And Ella McDowell.
There's another base hit, 57th of the year. Such a flat swing, keeping that bat in the zone. And another base hit as she shoots one to right. Let's go back and take a look at this Brie Ellis home run. KB, there's a lot of times you know off the bat it's gone. My first thought when she hit this one, that one's going either to the scoreboard or to the parking lot.
And what's so impressive about this home run is that ball is low, it's in, and Brie Ellis still gets her hands to that pitch.
Amazing contact. It wasn't that bad of a pitch again on the replay, as you pointed out, as Kaylee Wyckoff takes a strike. Bailey Hemphill, Mia Davison, two that hit 26 in a season. And we're going to break down how Burnside got her 25 and Brie Ellis got her 25 at some point. But I know teams always are a little bit relieved when they can get through an inning in which she's batting without any damage done. LSU pitched to her, it didn't work out. And the count now 2-1 to Wyckoff.
And at what point do you say, okay, we're just going to walk her. But then you have to throw to Ella McDowell, and as we just saw, she came through right after Brie Ellis. She said, okay, home run, awesome. But, you know, I'm going to hit a single, and I'm going to get on base.
Just keep the pressure going. Wyckoff has quietly seen her numbers climb. This ball not so quiet. Smashed her right. Goodbye. It clears the fence. Didn't quite make the burr, but how about another two-run homer in the first? And the H-Town products, Brie Ellis, Kaylee Wyckoff doing some damage against Berzon and LSU.
And it looks like the Razorbacks, they came to play. They have not wasted any time to get up on the board. And as you can hear in the background, Bogle Park is rocking.
So much traffic on the bases for LSU in the top of the first, but they left them loaded. Arkansas responded with 4 in the bottom of the frame, and that was center cut, belt high. And Wyckoff did not miss as she hits her 5th home run of the season.
I don't think you could ask for a more perfect pitch to elevate and celebrate. I mean, right down the middle, elevated, and she smashes it.
Berzon came in with an earned run average of 2.29. Arkansas has put 4 runs on the board. And if you're Berzon, KB, I know this has not been a lot of fun, but you've got to find a way to kind of settle in and start picking up some outs.
And I think one thing that's important when you're in SEC play is you have 3 games against a team, right? So while, yes, you are down 4 runs in the first inning, it's still a long game. I mean, we've seen teams score 8 runs in 1 inning, 6 runs in 1 inning, and the game's not over by any means.
It is not. Here's Courtney Day. Pearland product. Fouled right off the foot of Courtney Day. Day in the top 10 of the conference in homer. She's hit 14. She and Ellis have combined for some big-time runs batted in numbers.
And Courtney Day, she's hitting .327, but one thing about Courtney, like you said, she has 14 home runs, so she's probably not another one that you want to just throw the ball to right down the middle.
Reaches for that and fouls it away. Day and Ellis have combined for 124 runs batted in this season. And it's a pretty stark difference, though, in earned run average, KB, between Baton Rouge and on the road for Sydney.
Yes, and that is something that is incredible just to see. I mean, her ERA, it more than doubles. I mean, that's something that you look at, I feel like, as a coach, and you're like, well, I mean, should we give her the start or should we let her come in? Because you can tell with that, I mean, 4 runs a game, that's a lot to make up for, especially in SEC play. Even though the Razorbacks have been able to put up 4 runs in the first inning, that's still a lot to come back for, especially, you know, some games you're going to have rubber matches, you're going to have pitcher's duels.
Berzon had it in her glove, but it rolled away. Instead of that second out, Courtney Day will reach. So the pitch count on the verge of getting to 30 as well for Berzon, still trying to get that second out. And that'll be an error. And Natalia Rio will bat. You know, Coach Torina, during the ESPN broadcast this past weekend, was asked about Berzon, and she went on the air in one of her in-game interviews with a very impassioned effort, kind of sticking up for Sydney, saying she's a person who has a bullseye and a target on her back, and there's a ground ball to Hodge at short, but another error. The flip to Daniel almost looked like it caught her by surprise, or maybe it just came in too hot. And the inning continues, still only 1 gone.
And this is something that the Razorbacks are great at doing. They are great at taking advantage of errors. They're great at taking advantage of walks. Every single time they take advantage of it.
Really seemed like the perfect flip. I don't know if Daniel was in a hurry trying to get a potential double play. And this is Davison. But just to finish my thought, Coach Torina said Berzon's a person who has a bullseye and a target. She's been carrying our staff, and we're not going to overhaul. We're going to support her. And ESPN went through a graphic as far as her looking a little bit taller in her windup and whatnot. But you could tell they're trying to kind of fight through it portions of the season. But right now they're trying to fight through this inning.
Absolutely. And that's something, you know, you go home for the summer, you can come back to school with bad habits. That's just part of the game. You know, it's easy to get outside of yourself, you know, when you're swinging every single day during season, or when you're in college, in school, you're practicing in the fall, you play in the spring. It's easy to go home and pick up something that not necessarily is wrong, but something different.
Carly Davison will chase, and she's going to wave and miss, and that is the second out of the inning. But Arkansas will send at least 9 to the plate. So these pitchers have combined to throw 70 pitches in the first. Kennedy Miller. She drives one to left. Back to the fence. The third home run of the inning. The third multi-run homer. First it was Ellis, then Wyckoff, and how about a 3-run shot from Kennedy Miller? Arkansas has scored the touchdown and kicked the extra point.
I feel like I'm kind of speechless right now. I wasn't expecting 7 runs in the first inning, and Kennedy Miller, she's having a little bit of a down season, but a hit like that, first pitch of the at-bat, that's something that can bring your confidence back, and that is so impressive of her to keep fighting. And as you see, the result, a home run right over left field.
And KB, 2 errors continued this inning before the 3-run homer.
And I just said, Arkansas always takes advantage of those mistakes, those errors, those walks. They take advantage of it almost every single time.
Let's step aside. Pitching change break in the bottom of the first. Arkansas has scored 7. That's a happy bunch of Hogs, KB. How about 3 homers in the first, including Kennedy Miller? And I know this must feel really good for Kennedy.
And that's something right there that Kennedy Miller, I feel like I had said before the break, that's something that can bring her confidence back. She steps in, she's ready to go. First pitch over left field, and the Razorbacks, they have put up a great inning, 3 home runs in the first inning, and you can't help but say they were ready to go.
I would say anytime Reagan Johnson bats twice in the first, it has been quite a frame. LSU was knocking on the door to getting some runs in the top of the inning. It didn't happen. Arkansas has scored 7, and LSU has gone to the pen. Ashley Vallejo is on. New Waverly, Texas native. Now, she has not thrown a ton of innings this year. In fact, 28 2/3, which is 4th best on this LSU staff. Reagan Johnson walked way back when to begin it. There's the number of appearances. More walks than strikeouts, and that one punched into left to base hit. So the 60th hit of the year for Reagan Johnson continues this lengthy bottom of the first.
That's a beautiful job by Reagan Johnson. She gets on her first time this inning with a walk. She comes up 5-6 hole, on base again.
Well, Reagan Kramer doesn't want to make 2 outs in an inning. I can tell you that right now.
No, absolutely. And not only that, to be the first and the last out of the inning, I don't know how I would feel about that one.
It's a happy dugout. It would not be a lot of fun for Reagan. And hey, this is senior weekend. We can't be having any of this.
And one thing I loved about Reagan Kramer, we called her Jimmy. I mean, she brought the same attitude every single day. You'd never know if she was down. You would never know if anything was ever wrong. She's just a great teammate, just a great competitor. And most importantly, she's a pretty dang good player.
Courtney Deifel said she always put the program first, not flashy, but just so consistent in her efforts. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And that's how I would describe Reagan. Absolutely a workhorse. And like we said before, she would take balls on the infield, go to the outfield. I think I even saw her in catcher's gear one time. I'm not sure why. But she is willing to do anything that would put the team first.
Hodge will retire Kramer at first to end the first inning. Arkansas sent 11 to the plate. They say things travel in threes. First it was Brie Ellis, an absolute titanic shot to tie or equal the program record. Kelly Wyckoff with a 2-run homer to right. And then Kennedy Miller not to be outdone. How about a 3-run shot, part of a 7-run inning for the Razorbacks. Coach Beth Torena, head coach at LSU for her 14th season. 4 trips to the Women's College World Series. That's the plateau Arkansas is trying to reach for the next step. But it's 7-0 Razorbacks this evening, and Avery Hodge is going to lead off. Avery Hodge is from Richmond, Texas. It is the same suburb of Houston that Ella McDowell is from. Different high schools, but part of my area out there in Sugar Land. And I tell you what, it's one H-Town player after another in this series.
I'm telling you, a lot of great softball players come from the state of Texas. And I don't know what they're doing in Texas, but they are doing it right.
Arkansas's roster is loaded with H-Town products. Even Taylor Pleasant's coaching at first base for LSU, a former Tiger star from the greater Houston area. She was taller than most shortstops.
She reminded me a lot of Spencer Prigge.
She sure did.
They looked alike, too. It was kind of crazy. And Spencer, same height, both tall. When you think shortstop, I don't think you think somebody that's because you have to move side to side a lot, and it's like, how can y'all get to the ground fast enough?
Well, Hodge walks, and for all the excitement in Arkansas's offense, Robin Heron was kind of leaking a little bit of oil and running out of gas in that first. She walked 3. She got the big ground out to strand all 3, but she walks Hodge, and this is Maddox McKee, the DP. So her pitch count trending towards 40, and she's still looking for an out here in the second. And by the way, Montgomery, Texas, up in your neck of the woods.
I was going to say that. I was going to say, of course, another Texas player.
They're
on
everywhere.
The team.
Good pitch from Heron for a strike.
And you got to think Robin Heron coming into this inning, chest out a little bit more confidence, hoping to get, reel it back in. She's got a lot of wiggle room, so I'm sure it's something we're going to see throughout each inning is her straightening it up.
It's a good point, and that's a wave and a miss. I know people are in the stands saying, you've got a 7-run lead, throw it over the plate, but you understand how bad pitches in the zone get hit often. I think we saw that in the bottom of the first with some belt-high pitches that ended up on the other side of the fence, and Herron still trying to not get too far away from what makes her successful while at the same time knowing she's got a little bit of wiggle room.
Absolutely, and I mean, walks are going to happen. Bad pitches, that's going to happen, but we saw how quickly you can go up in just one inning. You have a couple walks, a couple of miscues, and then bam, Kennedy Miller, 3-run home run, puts them up 3 more runs, and then it's 7-0 before they can even look up.
And McKee will take strike 3, so Robin Herron with her second strikeout. Running one on that outside corner about belt high. Second baseman Sierra Daniel next up. Arizona native is Daniel. Just a run or two for the Tigers might going to feel like they're getting back into this contest with a lot of time remaining.
And that's something that's very important. I mean, of course you want to go score 7 runs in one inning, but it's just about chipping away every single inning. If you can put up 1 or 2 runs an inning, you're going to be good by the time the game's over.
Daniel had 4 hits in the 3 games against Florida as LSU came back to win that series. It was an important series for the Tigers because they were in danger of losing their 3rd straight weekend series. They started 8-3 in the SEC. They went 1-7 before their last couple of W's, and that's ball 4 again. So that is walk number 5 for Robin Herron.
And I feel like this year's been somewhat different in the SEC. You have a handful of teams at the top that could pretty much win the entire thing. But at the same time, you don't ever want to take a game off either. So I feel like it's everyone's beating everybody this year, and it's not been as consistent, in my opinion. So for a game like this, like we said earlier, for Arkansas and LSU, this is a very important series, especially when it comes to postseason hosting.
Here is Coffey, the leadoff hitter. We flew out to Kramer in left. You know, and to your point, KB, I completely agree. Because you think about how important it is to be in the top 8 or to be in the top 16 to host or have the potential to host a super regional. As Courtney Deifel comes out to the mound for a conversation, it allows me a little bit of time to finish my thought. Think about the Tigers a year ago. They were the 9th seed, which means, of course, you host your regional and win. They went to Stanford then for the Supers rather than being at home. They won the first game 11-1 in run rule fashion. They lost the next 2 games 3-0 and 8-0. Nigeri Kennedy threw 13 innings, not giving up a run, giving up just 5 hits to win the last 2. So LSU was 1 win away from the Women's College World Series, but they had to win 1 more game on the road, and had they been at home, who knows, they might have found their way to Oklahoma City.
Absolutely. There's nothing like being at home, and that's not an easy trip all the way out to Stanford that they had to make last year. So, you know, it's one thing, you're on an airplane, kind of fatigues you a little bit, and then they have to get ready to play. I mean, it's a Supers is as big as you can get, you know, besides the World Series, of course. But you never know. When you're at home, you have your own fans. You know, you have the ability to sleep in your own bed, and that's something I never took for granted when I played. I love to be at home, to be in my own apartment, and to be in my own bed.
And that's what these teams are playing for. 2-0 the count to Coffey. Fifth-year player is Coffey as she takes a strike from Herron as activity continues to roll in Arkansas's bullpen. All Coffey did to start this year, she came in with a 39-game reach base streak going back to last year and a 25-game hitting streak. Chasing the all-time single season on-base record. She slashes one into center for a base hit. Johnson fires to the plate, cut off by Ellis. She went sprinting in front of the circle to take that one-hop throw from Johnson. Hodge held at third, no reason to make an out at the plate. But LSU has the bases loaded, and I'm really curious to see how much longer Courtney Deifel might stay with Robin versus bringing her back in games 2 or 3. But the bases are loaded.
I don't think that would be a bad idea as we see Courtney Deifel.
Well, I talked that into
walking.
existence.
She's walking out, and, you know, Danica Coffey, she comes through, absolutely blisters that ball up the middle. And as we both said, it's just about chipping away each inning, and that's what's important about coming back from a 7-run deficit.
Robin's been so good for Arkansas as of late. Maybe not her day. She'll step aside. Arkansas 7-0 lead in the second. I think we have an LSU fan with a beer hat. It's the way to go. Always a party when the Tigers are in town. Arkansas having a little more fun tonight, but Reese Burline comes on in the second inning, inheriting a bases-loaded one-out situation. We were just talking about Reese through that perfect game a couple of weekends ago against Colorado State in 5 innings.
Absolutely, and, you know, Reese Burline a couple of weekends ago, that is the best that I have seen her throw, and I think that's something Courtney Deifel has been wanting to see from her. She knows she has it in the arsenal, but it's more so of getting her to do it.
Kind of a big moment for her. Now, she pitched 3 2/3 innings at Texas A&M, giving up a run, 3 walks, no strikeouts. Even in her perfect game, she had just 2 strikeouts, and again, 42 pitches, which was pretty incredible. Would like to start accumulating some outs, but this is Lassiter who takes strike 1. Lassiter, after she went into the portal, not only considered Arkansas, she came here on a visit. How do I know that? I was part of the visit. She wants to be on ESPN someday, and I visited with Jayla, but now she's in Fayetteville trying to do some damage and put her team on the board. And that one a little bit up and out. .31 runs batted in for Lassiter. So maybe I'm not a very good recruiter, KB. That's a possibility.
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that. And, you know, Coach Tarina right here, she's going to want Jayla to at least, I mean, hey, something in the grass might score 2 right here. You never know, but at least score 1. Just do a job, get something back.
Poked out to right. Wyckoff underneath it. She's going to make the catch. Hodge will tag. She will score. Had the throw gone to second, Arkansas would have had a chance to get Coffey. Ellis was looking to third. LSU gets a run, but boy, the Hogs had a chance for a double play.
Absolutely, and, you know, right there from Reese, comes in, gets a pop-up to right field. You know, it might not necessarily want her to let a run score, but it's better than a double in the gap.
Watch this throw come in to Ellis, and look where the runner, Coffey, is.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, gosh, she had her all day.
I don't even think she realized that, and this ball is poked out into shallow center. It'll drop for a base hit. It'll score a run. Strong throw from Johnson. Throw back to second. Safe. And LSU has added another run. And the Hogs have had a couple of near misses now on the bases. Bergeron gets the single, the bloop, the RBI, and able to scamper into second base. And Arkansas might want to review.
The ruling on the field was the runner was safe at second base. Arkansas is challenging that ruling. The previous play is under further review.
This angle, but I think she may have gotten her unless she missed her on that swipe tag.
Umpire's in motion, so we'll see it here.
Oh, that's hard. I can't tell.
It's hard to tell. It was not a graceful dive at second. She was trying to go around Davison. So the first 2 Tigers who walked this inning have since scored. And if this call stands, there would be 2 more runners in scoring position for Tori Edwards. So LSU indeed chipping away, and now we'll wait to see the result of this review and this replay. If she got her, she would have tagged maybe that elbow or that hip.
Oh, I can't. It's her leg. I can't really tell that leg
After
in
review,
the way.
The ruling on the field is upheld. The runner is safe.
Upheld.
As Arkansas's first challenge of the game.
I don't know if there was enough to overturn that because as she slid in, her leg kind of covered to where her hand went to the bag.
I was waiting for the Hawkeye. The Hawkeye is rarely defeated, but LSU will gladly take it. Now, if you're Arkansas, do you pitch to Tori Edwards? Quite frankly, I might not. And looking where Kennedy Miller sets up, I am lockstep with Coach Deifel right now.
I feel like we're speaking things into existence because I was about to say I would just go ahead and put her on.
I'm not going to give her a shot if I'm Arkansas, making this a 7-5 game in a blink of an eye.
Absolutely not. And it's one of those things you don't want the other team's best hitter to beat you.
18 homers, 68 knocked in. She struck out against Herron in the first, but facing Burline here in the second. So both teams have gone to their bullpen, and we're not into the bottom of the second yet. And that's ball 4, so the bases will be loaded for Mackenzie Rudity. That is now 6 walks issued by Arkansas pitchers.
I think this might be the longest game that we've done together. It might end up being the longest.
I think you're right. Good thing you're here all weekend.
I know. Thankfully.
Burline rolls in strike 1. If I'm not mistaken, Mom's watching the game in the suite on her phone.
She is.
She's observing you.
She has her phone up to her ear, and she's going to hear us talking about her here in a second.
Her ears will be burning. Real good pitch for a strike. I wonder what these parents do when their kids are done playing, and I'm going to go through this soon enough. And there's a withdrawal sequence.
Oh, absolutely.
So even when your kid's still connected to a game but not playing, it's hard to pass it up.
Absolutely.
0-2 is down and
out.
out.
You know, one thing about my mom, it's crazy because I have played in some very, very loud stadiums, but no matter what, I can always hear my mom yelling at me. And I'm like, Mom, you never played softball. You've got to stop doing that. Oh, there she is. She's like freaking out.
Just a little bit outside.
Even in high school, I'd get lessons on the way home.
Is
like,
that right?
Why don't you swing at this pitch? And I would say, stop, you never played softball.
This becomes a big pitch from Burline to Rudity. Bases full of Tigers. Tap foul. Boy, just a base hit, though, for LSU would be a big sigh of relief in this process of climbing back into this game. They've already seen Herron exit. Had a sac fly this inning. Ground ball hit sharply to Davison. She will make the play. And LSU has stranded 6 runners in 2 innings. But they do get a pair of runs to climb back into this game. Brie Ellis has already set Arkansas history with her 25th home run. You see how close she was to that number with Braxton Bernstein. She got her 25th in her 44th game, had one more. That was against Stanford in the postseason on May 23rd. So she went about a month between 24 and 25. Brie is already at 25, trying to take the record into her own.
And I have to wonder if that's something that Brie Ellis put on like maybe her vision board, or if that's something that she wanted to do was set the home run record. And she has quite the amount of games left, you know, pending how Arkansas,
That's right.
how far they go into postseason. But I mean, with next week, and they're going to make a regional, of course, she has plenty of games left to do it.
Think about this. Braxton, 25 of her 56 hits were home runs. With Brie now, 24 of her 55 hits have been home runs. You can't get much more even than that between the two.
And I think what's most impressive, you know, not their stats being almost identical, that pretty much half of their hits are home runs.
It's amazing, and that's a great way to put it into perspective. Tell you more about Braxton with the count 2-0. See if Ellis gets something to hit, and that one's outside. Braxton had 2 homers in her first game of the year. Her next 7 she didn't homer, and then she ran off 13 homers in 14 games. That is a stretch where few, even Brie Ellis, have been able to equal.
I would say she probably was feeling good after that.
I bet she was.
I mean, you wake up, okay, I'm going to hit another home run this day for 14 games straight. That's insane.
I think Brie and maybe Lenny Malkin hit the ball as far as anybody I've seen in an Arkansas uniform. I thought Braxton hit the ball harder than anybody I have seen with her exit velo.
Absolutely. Braxton, oh my gosh, the ball, and it came off her bat. She had a lot of line drive home runs, but I remember we were playing at home, and Lenny, she hit one over the second fence, and it was probably not even the first line of cars. It might have been the second or third, and I just was in awe. I mean, and you see them at practice every day. They do it every day at practice, so like, I've been waiting on that, you know?
In fact, as we see a shot of the parking lot, McDowell bats, my favorite is one that hit just fair inside the pole into the parking lot, and it continued to roll in that driveway towards the street, towards Bud Walton Arena. It may have finished like 450, rolled right down that alleyway, about 450 feet by the time it got done turning and rolling. McDowell drives one to left center. Leno will get back and make the catch. So Ella didn't quite square that one up, but the Tigers will take the out. They didn't want to see another multi-run homer. And she's talking about the spin right there with Wyckoff. You could see with that wrist, she was talking about something, gesturing to Wyckoff, who had one of the home runs as well in the first.
And, you know, once again, we talk about the maturity of Ella McDowell. That's just her sharing some knowledge. One thing I love about Ella, you can tell she loves this game. She studies the game. She knows everything about every team she's going to play.
A lot of similarities between her and Brie Ellis, whether it's big personalities, whether it's the ability, whether it's just enjoying talking, hitting, and the work that goes in. Brie was walked to begin this frame, and Wyckoff takes one on the corner for strike two. You know, this was an Arkansas team, though, KB, that back on Sunday was shut out for just the second time all season. And they had runners on base a ton. In fact, they went 1 for 17 with runners on base, 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. They take a few days off and then put 7 on the board in the bottom of the first.
And I think that goes to say, I mean, Coach Gasso, he has absolutely helped turn this offense around. That's kudos to him. Only being shut out twice in a season. I mean, hey, yeah, of course, you got to put up 1 run a game, and that gets you out of that record. But I think from last year to this year, the team was, as a team, they were hitting maybe 288 last year, and this year they're well into the 300. So that speaks volume about him. You know, he gets the players to trust them. Same thing, you look at Brie Ellis, her numbers from last year to this year, I mean, absolutely has turned it around. So, you know, props to him for being able to do that in just 1 year.
Year two's been a good one. In fact, Ethan Westerman in the newspaper did a nice article today talking about the improvement, and there you see it on your screen. The batting average, that's a dramatic jump. So is the OPS.
And as a team, that's a big jump.
I think sometimes when we talk about hitting coaches, and this one blooped out to left, but Leno will make the catch to retire Wyckoff for out number 2. Sometimes, KB, we think about, well, they're making this mechanical change or this adjustment, and yes, that's part of it. But oftentimes, it's about a game plan. It's about talking about the pitchers. It's about understanding kind of a team approach.
Absolutely, and I think that's, you know, when you get to this level, it's not necessarily about changing your swing completely. And, you know, when I was here at Arkansas, I was coached by Yolanda McCray, and, you know, when I got here, I told her, I said, hey, I want to learn how to use my legs. No one has ever really taught me how to use my legs and my swing, and it just clicked. One day we were working, just us two, and bam, it clicked. So, you know, same thing. I got to talk to Coach Gasso before the game.
Courtney Day will blister one to left off the glove of Leno. Hey, Brie Ellis is going to try to score from first, and she's going to make it standing. It's 8-2 Arkansas. They turned Brie loose on the bases, and she wasn't about to stop. That's going to be a double for Day. Another run batted in. Arkansas leads 8-2.
And Courtney Day, she got all of that one. I feel like that was a little bit of a misplay in left field, but she blistered that ball. You can tell the left fielder, she kind of made her first step in instead of going first step back.
It'll get you. I tell you, Rio was hit by a pitch, but you were saying about talking to Coach Gasso.
Yes, going back to talking to Coach Gasso before the game started, I was, you know, down near the bullpen. He was like, hey, I was going back and watching, you know, some of your swings from when you were at Alabama to when you came to Arkansas. And he's like, I saw this old video in the the old files, and he was like, "What drill was that? And can you tell me a little bit about what you changed?" And I was like, "To be honest with you, I really didn't change anything with my upper body. I feel like most of it was, my confidence level, just believing in myself. But I told him the drill we did for my lower half, and it took one time to feel it. And sometimes, it's not about changing your swing. It's about maybe adding a little something. I added a little bit of a leg kick, and it gave me the ability to, get under the ball a little bit and to drive it and to stay in my back half and really drive straight through the ball."
Here's what I love about this story is Carly Davison Batts. Hitters can't stop talking hitting even when they're done hitting, even when they're no longer hitting.
And I love talking about it. It's super cool just to kind of discuss. And, it goes to show that Coach Gasso wants to learn. He wants to learn. And, hey, the numbers show it, too.
Leno was busy that inning. Arkansas adds a run, 6-run Razorback lead through 2 long innings. Another great crowd here at Bogle Park. There was almost 100,000 fans inside this facility a year ago, and I think, KB, probably from the time you started playing at Alabama, where they always drew well, you saw a tremendous growth in attendance around other programs and stadiums in the SEC like this one.
Absolutely, and that goes back to what we were talking about at the top of the first inning with Courtney Deifel. I mean, the way she's been able to come in to Fayetteville and turn this program around, and when I was at Alabama, Arkansas really wasn't a team like we were too freaking out about, but now it's completely different. Even back, the year before I came to Arkansas, they won the SEC. We were able to win the SEC, and I just can't speak enough about her. She is who she says she is. She is who she is on camera. That's just who she is every single second of her life. So, of course, who wouldn't want to play for Courtney Deifel?
And Arkansas has been on quite a run as well in wins and keep racking up the W's. And there's so many different rankings now that even though Arkansas received a 2 ranking, Courtney Deifel said, listen, there's so many, you can't get too worked up about it, but it is a nice feather in the cap of this program because, listen, they want to get to Oklahoma City. We talked about LSU. They've been there 4 times under Coach Torina. Those don't get taken away from you.
No.
I know you're still dealing with not getting there as a player. I'm still dealing with it because I just felt like that last team, the only team you were part of here, was maybe the best team Arkansas has ever put forth.
I would say so. That was the best lineup I've ever been a part of in my entire life. It was so fun to watch, even on base, in the dugout, and yeah, that just goes to show you how quickly the game can change or how quickly, you can get off of that hot streak. I mean, we won by a pretty good margin the first game, and it's just about staying focused. I feel like that was absolutely the team that is going to make it pretty far, and something I'll never forget because of how great we all were together, not just one person. And, this team is a lot like that team. They have the power, they have the speed, they have the home runs, they have the pitching, but like we talk about, you don't want to peak too soon.
That's
and
it.
That's
You're
something that I feel like Arkansas has done a great job of. They started off a little bit rocky. They were like 1-5 in their SEC series, and after you've seen, they've slowly gotten better each game.
This is Hodge. She walked in the second. Leno walked to begin this inning. 7 walks for LSU hitters as Hodge takes a strike. There was an article in the Houston papers a couple of weeks ago when their basketball team lost the national championship game. They've never won a national championship game. They've been there a few times. And it was an opening line that I think applies to these teams. And that one hit the elbow of Hodge. Kind of turned into that, but there's 2 more free base runners. And the Tigers, who have stranded 6 in 2 innings, have 2 more on base. But the line was, heartbreak doesn't know the statute of limitations. In other words, there is none on heartbreak. You don't get over years that come up just a little bit short, whether it's getting to Oklahoma City or winning a championship. Programs move forward. Teams oftentimes do not, as McKee bats. But I know this group would love to be the first to get to Oklahoma City.
Absolutely, and that's, you get over the initial feeling of the punch of, being disappointed. But, like we talked about before the broadcast started, that's something I will never forget just because we were that good. And, that it's a long season, so it's really, it's hard to even. I try to pick every year like who I think is going to make it, and you never end up guessing 100% right. I wish I was, on the team that was able to take Courtney Deifel to her first World Series. I told her on my visit here, like, I would love to be able to do that because Danielle Gibson and I were the, two of the ones that had already been to the World Series and had experience. But I would love nothing more than to see this coaching staff and Courtney Deifel, Matt Michael, finally get to the World Series because she is well deserving of it.
Chasing what LSU has done before. McKee becomes another key batter. She went down on strikes in the second. Burline is walked a batter, hit a batter, and delivers a strike. The one thing about losing in the SEC, you don't fall much because of these teams' RPIs and conference tournament next week. But a few more wins for both of these teams just bolsters that resume just a little bit more, as McKee will take strike 2. And it also kind of keeps you in that mode of trying to find that peaking portion of your season.
Yeah, and like we talked about, one of these teams might get that top 8 host, and Arkansas, they absolutely are wanting to win this series.
That was off the tip of the glove, I believe, of Ellis into right, and the bases are loaded with nobody out. Ellis laying out was trying to spear that liner off the bat of McKee. It may have just grazed the tip of her glove. And here come the Tigers again.
And like we've talked about before, it's about chipping away. They have the bases loaded with no outs. And, hey, getting a couple of runs an inning, that would be great for LSU. By the end of the game, they're going to, they might be up. So that's what's important, is about at least saying, hey, so what? We're down 8-2. It's right here. I mean, one swing could put 4 more runs on the board for them.
Arkansas on their 3rd pitcher of this game, and they've scored 8 runs. So it's been a strange beginning to the series. Not sure if that's a Tiger beer hat or the Tigers are borrowing the Razorback beer hats, but they've been in vogue because LSU left the bases loaded in the first, left the bases loaded in the second, even though they scored a couple of runs. They have the bases loaded in the third. She might as well just leave that hat on.
I know. I'm about to say, they seem to be working no matter which team's wearing them, to be honest with you.
So Arkansas on their 3rd pitcher in a game where at times they felt comfortably ahead, but it's Peyton Burnham, the freshman. She pitched twice in that series at A&M. You see her numbers on the year, a 2.63 earned run average. And it kind of feels like, to me, as a freshman, though, she has moved into that 2 slot in this pitching staff.
Absolutely. And Peyton Burnham, she has come in some big scenarios and big games. And I feel like she steps up to the plate quite the amount of times, high percentage amount of the times. And just to be a freshman, you can see on her face, she's very calm, very cool, very collected. And, no matter what, she has the same energy every single pitch that she throws.
It is almost a Shanice Dells type countenance as far as calm and under control, and we'll talk about her lineage as well. But the batter is going to be Sierra Daniel. I think there's 6 grand slams already this year for LSU, and they have a chance to do some more damage. I think Courtney Deifel, maybe in an ideal world, would have had Burnham start tomorrow, but now they're trying to get through this game even with the lead. Burnham gave up 2 runs in 2 innings against A&M in one game, then went 6 2/3 innings, giving up 3 runs in the second game. And a pinch hitter as well for LSU, Savannah Bedell.
And I like the way Coach Deifel's thinking here. You get the first game out of the way, get that win under your belt, and then in your mind it's like, oh, hey, we have to win one more game and we're going to win the series. And then obviously it can set you up for a sweep, but getting that first game of the weekend can really set the momentum for how the whole weekend's going to go.
There's no doubt. Swing and a miss for strike 2. I think for Burnham, she's trying to accumulate some outs, try and strand some inherited runners. She's working fast. That one's blooped out to left. That's a base hit. Kramer overruns the ball. Might have a chance for a play at the plate. Here's the throw. That's late, and 2 score. By overrunning the ball, Kramer allowed a second run to score, and here come the Tigers. It's 8-4. Still nobody out. So the 2 free base runners cashed in. I did not think Hodge was going to be able to score because Kramer had a chance to get that throw to the plate. She just couldn't get it there quickly enough.
I also thought she might get her based on how she wound up and threw the ball, but Hodge, having a little bit more speed than we thought, was able to get in there. And, you know, LSU is doing just what we said they need to do. You just chip away every single inning, never give up, and good things are going to come out of that.
And if you're Burnham or you're Arkansas, you're just saying, give us an out. Let's get an out to begin that process. And the Tigers have watched their 6, 7, 8, and 9 hitters reach. So now they turn it over for Coffey, Lassiter, and Bajaran. Coffey has one of the 4 LSU hits. Just a single could make this an 8-6 game.
You know, Danica Coffey, she's always been that consistent player in this LSU lineup. I remember playing against her, and, you know, she's getting a hit every game. You know, as we talked about her on-base streak and her hit streak, she's just one of those players that wears the LSU jersey well and has wore it well her entire career.
Last year, had 16 games before the torn ACL, covering a bunt, colliding with her catcher. Got the medical red shirt, so this is her 5th year. Arkansas maybe having some problems with the technology. Coffey's chasing the Tigers' single season on-base mark. She was a little bit ahead of the pace, maybe just a little behind the pace now, but more time remaining.
She definitely started off the season extremely hot. I think she was hitting almost 500 until maybe the beginning of April, end of March. But, you know, as I started getting into SEC play, her average has gone down a little bit.
So you're saying it was hot coffee? And now it's...
I wouldn't say she's cold by any means.
Just
I mean,
tepid maybe?
Hey, she's still hitting like 400
No,
overall.
she is.
So that's pretty good if you ask me.
2 balls and a strike, the count. This game has gone on for an hour and a half, and there's no outs in the top of the 3rd, and Arkansas now can't get the technology right, and I think Burnham ready to pitch, but everybody had stepped out. Are we under a full moon or something? There's some atmospherical conditions that are forcing everybody to be a little bit off.
I had a feeling this was going to be a little bit of a high-scoring game, but I didn't know it was going to be like, you know, 7 runs in the first inning and LSU's bouncing back.
You know, LSU had a couple of errors in that Arkansas first. They probably feel like 7 should not have scored. They have stranded 6 runners in 2 innings. They feel like with just one more swing, this would be a much different game. And at some point, Arkansas needs to get a watch that works because they're on their 2nd, maybe their 3rd. They're on 3 pitchers and 3 watches, I think.
I know. And, you know, going back to talking about LSU, we're only in the 3rd inning, and they've been able to put up 4 runs, no outs, runners on 2nd and 3rd. I mean, you can't ask for anything more than what they're doing. You can tell they haven't really given up. They're still trying to come back. That says a lot about a team. They're not giving up.
How about this? We're going with the old-fashioned wristbands and the hand signals now.
Those, you know, those are hard to come by now. I feel like you don't see those as much anymore.
It's not quite ready for a museum, but maybe in another few years it will. So we're going to actually signal in pitches now rather than the watch or the PitchCom device. Going old school. Eight to 4 the score. Top of the lineup for the 3rd time for LSU. 3-1 to count.
And this is a crucial part of LSU's lineup. We have Jayla Lassiter coming up. You know, Tori Edwards, she's lingering in the background.
Seven walks and a hit batter. The Tigers have worked the Razorbacks 4. Count has gone full. Another soft pop-up. More trouble. Kramer somehow gets the catch, and she couldn't get up in time to maybe double off McKee.
That's a great job by Reagan Kramer, going all out right there. I honestly wasn't sure if she was going to get there. I mean,
I didn't think she was.
That's about a shoestring catch as you could absolutely get. And then luckily she was so close, she didn't have time to get up and go.
She started to stumble a little bit, like somebody do in the tailgating lot before a football game.
Ready to sling it no matter what.
Had too much of a good time before a big football game at Razorback Stadium. She was trying to get that. I thought if she popped up quickly, she might have been able to get the double play.
I thought so too.
And Lassiter had a sack fly and an RBI her last time in. That was huge. But if you're Peyton Burnham, at most you want to give up one more run, even if it's a sack fly or ground out, and begin this process of ending the top of the third. Because the Tigers have just had one base runner after another. Ground ball to McDowell. She will get the out. The Tigers will get a run. And it's 8-5.
And I know we talk about Ella McDowell, her hitting, but she plays a great third base. I mean, she goes a long way to get that ball, and there's been plenty of plays that Ella have made, and she's made, and I'm like, how did she get that? She has a great arm. She's not just a great hitter. She can play third base. And very well.
She can. Obviously, a shortstop before she got here as Bergeron takes one down. And I remember talking to Courtney Deifel in the fall and then the spring, and I said, third or short? And she would say, we don't know yet. And I'd be like, third or short? And, there was some competition, but obviously Rio is a tremendous shortstop and an arm as well. That one cute. This one might spin back, but Ellis will pick it up and touch it foul. As Bergeron went down the line. See if that ball got sliced in two, and our plate umpire seems satisfied. But regardless, I think her intensity and her personality, much like Hannah Gamble, suited for third base.
Oh, absolutely. And you can, you're able to tell that looking at Ella McDowell. She's fired up every strikeout, every out, and she just brings a very mature presence, even to be a freshman. And that's one thing I really love about her.
I would agree. I think it takes a unique personality to be ready to stand so close to the plate and be that hockey goalie and knock balls down and try and secure some outs.
Oh, yeah, I would not choose to do that, ever.
Down and out, 2-2. Tigers have more runs than hits. Arkansas has more runs than hits. It has been that type of game.
It's been a little bit of a weird game.
Ella tried to turn her glove maybe the wrong way. Instead of backhanding that ball, she tried to field it with her wrist up and could not make the play. Probably a hit for Bergeron, but don't look now. Tori Edwards comes to the plate representing the tying run.
I think I jinxed Ella McDowell right there, talking about how good she was over at third base. She'll notice she just kind of gets stuck in the in-between right there, deciding what she wanted to do with that one.
Backhand that one, but it's hit so hard, and that will be a base hit. So Macy has been on base all 3 times. And Edwards was intentionally walked last time up.
And I'm not really sure what I would do here. I'm glad I don't have to ever make these decisions, because it's like, do you gamble and put her on, or do you try to go for the strikeout again?
This next pitch might tell us something.
Looks like they're going for it.
It was a strike, but it was on that outside edge, knee high. Burnham certainly doesn't want to miss her spot. Edwards with 18 homers, 68 knocked in. There's the old-fashioned wristband. Hard hit. Davison spears another one to end the inning. The good news for the Tigers is they get 3 more runs, but they have stranded 8 in 3 innings. Your SEC standings a bit convoluted. I think Oklahoma has absorbed a little bit of the SEC, and Arkansas, remember, they were 1-5 at one point. Now keep in mind, I think in the latest NCAA tournament projections, KB, D1 softball, Softball America, 6 SEC teams were consensus top 8 national seeds. And Missouri's the one team that's sub 500 that will not be an at-large team. And keep in mind, they've had 2 wins against Oklahoma and Texas A&M.
I know, and that's what's crazy is, they're getting wins. And we've talked about it earlier in the game. Like, you never know who's going to beat who, and I think that goes to show, like, I feel like the loss count this year in SEC play is much higher than it has been in years before.
Yes.
Like, of course, you have your top 2-3 teams that have lost 5 to 6 games, but now you have a lot of teams losing 10 to 12 games.
Kennedy Miller pokes one out to left after a 3-run homer. She has a single, so a 2-for-2 game. And She leads off the bottom of the third, and more base runners in our contest. I'm with you. I think it's harder to run away and hide. If you're a little bit off one weekend and another team you play is not, you're probably going to lose that series.
Absolutely, and that's what's great about, the SEC, like you said earlier. Even if you lose a game, lose the series, you're not going to drop much, but that goes to show how great the competition is in the SEC this year.
And I don't think it's going to change in future years.
No, not with the addition of Oklahoma
Correct.
and Texas.
Reagan Johnson has walked and scored and singled. She's up to 212 career hits, so she's got her first 200. Now she's on her way to another. And it's a realistic possibility with the numbers she's put up after this year and next. She could be a 300 hitter.
And that goes to say a lot about Reagan Johnson. She gets a lot of at-bats. She'll walk here and there, but getting to that number, I mean, even at 60 hits in a season, that's great. And I think she had 70 one season, but that's just a consistent hitter at the top of the lineup and one that has speed like her. I mean, hey, she automatic double, and then a hit in the gap, she's scoring. That's just a hitter you want in your leadoff spot.
When you first got to Alabama, were you a slapper?
I did a little bit of both. I hit a lot in high school, but I slapped a lot my first year, and I kind of led into me hitting a little bit more, but I would go back to slapping if I wasn't confident. So if I couldn't get the feeling of standing and swinging away, I would go back to slapping because it's almost like you're just playing pepper with your hands.
Trying to get on base and create some havoc. We've had nothing but hitters getting on base.
I know. Oh, my gosh.
Baseball will finish before softball will tonight. 2-2 the count to Johnson. Comebacker. Good play to get the lead runner, Kennedy Miller, at second base. I wasn't sure if Vallejo was going to go ahead with that throw or not, but it proved to be the right decision.
I think I would have liked to see a bunt right there. Maybe Reagan, she lays down some of the most beautiful bunts I've ever seen. You can see with her slap and how she kind of pulled back on it a little bit. She was trying to soft slap there. She almost had it at the right spot, but I think a bunt from her would have been perfect.
You know who wants to participate in the fun is Reagan Kramer. She made 2 outs in a 7-run first inning, and now batting for the 3rd time in the game, but the first time since the first. Listen, on senior day, everything is supposed to fall into place, right? It's supposed to be Hollywood script-like. 2 outs in the inning is not script-like.
No, and I would love to know how many players have been the 2 outs in 1 inning. I would love to know that stat.
It feels like in Arkansas baseball this year, I've talked about it on 2 or 3 occasions.
Really?
Which feels like it's way high.
That's a lot.
It is a lot, and
But they're batting around, though, so.
but it's such a happy dugout because everybody's participating except
the one
person.
player.
Vallejo trying to settle this down, though, and give LSU a chance, and that one is rolled foul outside of first.
But like we've talked about, Reagan Kramer, she's an amazing teammate. So I don't think you could pick one player better than her to be able to handle that. So it'd be great to see her, like you said, get a hit right here just because, oh, man, I don't know what I would do if I got out twice in 1 inning.
But if she gets a single or gets a walk, LSU's going to have to pitch to Brie Ellis with a couple of runners on base.
And that makes me think they are absolutely trying to get Reagan Kramer right here. I mean, you'd rather pitch to Brie Ellis with 1 runner on versus 2 any day.
Agreed. We've had 5 pitchers in this game, and I don't think we're done. 2-2 to Kramer, and now indeed the count has gone full.
It feels like we should be approaching the 6th or
I should be getting ready to
7.
drive to Baum Walker right now. And that's not the case. '40th walk of the season for Reagan Kramer. And now LSU does not feel like they're going to enjoy this scenario. I mean, you could walk Brie Ellis if you don't want to pitch to her, but it's hard to do when there's runners at first and second. This was her first inning swing, and this is what you would call a no-doubter. I thought it might have grazed the side of the scoreboard. It was Brie's 25th home run. to go along with 67 runs batted in. If she would homer here, she would set the single-season program homer record while tying the runs batted in record and tying the SEC home run record. That's all she has on her plate.
And as you can see right here, they are going to pitch around
You're
her.
right.
That first pitch was definitely a mistake. But, I mean, you look at Brie Ellis's numbers, and in my mind, I'm like, these can't be real. Like, I mean, it's every single category. The numbers they're astronomical. Like, how do you even get to that point? Like we discussed earlier, almost half of her hits are home runs. I mean, I would not pitch to her. I think I would walk her every at bat until the end of the season.
I've been on that crusade for a while. Boy, that one came over the inside corner for a called strike, which I think surprised us all. She has a slugging percentage coming into play today that would break the SEC record, and I mean shatter it. Not even close.
I'm interested to see what they do right here.
And the count's gone full. They've alternated between looking like they have no interest and then sneaking a couple of strikes over the plate.
I have to think both. I know the first one was a mistake for sure, but watching the catcher after that, you can tell she hits her chest, acting like, hey, that's my fault. And you could tell by the pitcher's look on her face.
That's a big swing. I mean, that's not a let me put it in play swing as you would expect. She hit it at 75 miles an hour the other day at A&M. Guess what? In Major League Baseball, that's a tremendous exit velocity. There's no difference between hers and some of the top Major League players.
No difference at all. I mean, you look at her numbers, and it's incredible the season that Brie Ellis has been able to put up. And, you know, I felt like it was pretty obvious that she was going to get one of those golden tickets to go play in the Pro League this summer. And, you know, of course, it's going to lead us to Ella McDowell, and they're going to call a timeout here. And one great thing that Courtney Deifel did for sure is move Ella McDowell into the 4-hole, because I feel like she can't wait to get up to bat if Brie gets walked.
I thought when Courtney Day missed 3 games, when she came back, she would find her way behind Ellis because of her power, maybe a little more right now than Ella. You're talking about a 24-year-old versus an 18-year-old. But Courtney said about Ella McDowell this week, she's big in big games and big moments beyond her years, and when the competition elevates, so does she. And I thought that was eloquently said, although for Ella, she's going to get to face another new pitcher. I said just a moment ago we were not done with 5 pitchers. And here we go with number 6. We'll step aside. We'll reset when we come back, I promise. 8-5 Hawks. A lot of beer hats today, a lot of base runners. Arkansas has them loaded in the 3rd. Speaking of 3s, everything travels in 3s. Arkansas has had 3 pitchers. Now LSU with a trio. Tatum Clopton is on, throwing 51 in the 3rd innings. Lawrence, Kansas native, a little bit closer to home.
And you know what's even crazier? I just checked the time, and we are not even through the 3rd inning.
No, we are not.
And we've almost been 2 hours, so I'm like, at this rate, are we going to go to 4 hours?
We might. Well, time kind of stands still for Clopton. She missed the last 2 seasons, almost 1,100 days because of a shoulder injury between outings. She will throw a curve and a change, a drop and a rise. She had labrum surgery, and then they found a piece of the drill bit still in her shoulder.
You're kidding.
I am not. I wish I was for Clopton and the call.
Oh my gosh, I can imagine that was not a great conversation the doctors had with her parents or even the coaching staff.
Again, these are Ellis' numbers. Batting behind Brie Ellis in the lineup coming into the action today. That was a pretty good pitch to hit. When you look at SEC-only games, and you talk about runs batted in, Ella McDowell's done a lot of damage. Back to the circle. Safe at first. Reagan Johnson, the speedy Johnson, was out at the plate. Is Clopton able to handle it? That's a big second out. Ella McDowell was only behind Brie Ellis entering play today in runs batted in SEC-only games. Fielder's choice, no RBI. Now it's up to Wyckoff.
And I think that's, like we've talked about, it's maturity from Ella. You know, even though she didn't get the result that she probably wanted to get right there, she's hitting almost 500 in the last 11 games behind Brie Ellis, and those are SEC games too.
I feel like Wyckoff's swing is picked up in her production as well as of late. Remember, she had huge numbers at Texas Tech. Hit a 2-run homer in the first, and is also flied out to left. As she pokes one back to the screen. Wyckoff a year ago hit 407, but she hit 441 in Big 12 action.
You know, Kaylee, her numbers, her average at least, might not be as flashy as a Brie Ellis or an Ella McDowell, but I feel like during very important moments, she ends up coming through and coming up big. I mean, as we saw, she hit a home run in the first inning, and you can tell she's kind of settled in as the season has gone on.
Obviously, batting 5th in this lineup is also huge. After Ellis and McDowell, that one's going to end up in the Razorback dugout again. This would be a big pitch for Clopton to come on with the bases loaded and 1 out against the 4 and 5 hitters and extinguish the threat and keep this game very much within reason for LSU. And that just did miss, maybe a tad out and a little bit down.
That was close. I mean, I might would have had to have fouled that one off.
Wyckoff has knocked in 40 runs. No place to put her. She'll wave and miss. Clopton gets the K. Arkansas missed out on a golden opportunity. KB, a nice pitch from Clopton to end the threat.
And I don't think Coach Torina could ask for anything more than that pitch right there to get out of a bases loaded inning, and they had 1 out at one point with the bases loaded. That's a great job.
We go to the 4th, an hour and 45 minutes into this game. Peyton Burnham, who got the final 3 outs last frame, gets a clean inning, or at least her own inning. Ruta D, the right fielder, will lead off. It's an 8-5 game. Arkansas led 7-0 after 1. But the Tigers, they've had chances. They've left 7 in the first 3 innings. They put a lot of pressure on this Arkansas staff that has not been able to figure out how to have anything close to a clean inning.
And I think that's probably what Coach Courtney Difel would love to see right here out of Burnham, is just give us one clean inning, one where it's like, oh, wow, okay, we'll get the game moving a little bit too.
Start stacking a little bit. When it's 7-0 in the first, you start thinking about a run rule. And now the Tigers, even last inning, they had the tying run at the plate.
And I think that goes, you know, great job to the girls on the team. Like, they didn't give up. They were able to chip away like we talked about each inning. And, you know, you see the Razorbacks only put up 1 run in the second inning, didn't put up any runs last inning. And LSU, they've been consistently putting up runs each inning since the second inning.
That is the 8th walk and 9th free base runner Arkansas pitchers have offered.
If you were to tell me it was going to be 8 walks in the 4th inning only, I would be like, no, there's no way.
Now, both of these teams are tremendous on-base clubs in the top 10 in the country. And obviously these hitters know the strike zone. To me, it feels like, though, the pitchers for both teams have just not been sharp.
No, they absolutely have not been sharp. I mean, you know, Robin Heron, definitely not as sharp as she normally is. And I think that I see her over there in the bullpen warming up. So, you know, maybe coming back into the game, maybe she wasn't warm when she started.
I think it's a distinct possibility as Leno sees the count go to 2-0. The thought was when she left, maybe it's not her day. You've got a 7-0 lead. She can come back in tomorrow or whenever she is needed. But now the thought is, hey, find it in the bullpen. We may need you now to finish this game. Because Burnham in danger of walking the first 2 batters in the 4th inning.
And that's something we've seen on both sides, a lot of walks. And, you know, like we've talked about, especially a leadoff walk, those can be detrimental to scoring runs. And, you know, kudos to LSU. They're being patient. Same thing with the Razorbacks. They're taking those walks. They're being patient. And in my opinion, when I was leading off a game, if I got walked, I was pumped. I was like, great, you know, that's great. That's like a hit. Your on-base percentage is going up. You're getting on base. You're getting in position to score.
And indeed, that is walk I'm almost losing track. 9 walks, 10 free base runners. And really, if you kind of diagram this inning for Burnham, the last thing you want to do after getting out of that third when you inherited some runners is to put the first 2 on and start this merry-go-round all over again.
That is definitely not what I think Coach Courtney Deifel wanted out of her. But, you know, once again, we talk about she is just a freshman. We've seen a bunch of great moments from her that do not make you think she is a freshman. But it seems like every pitcher we've seen tonight is having a hard time finding the strike zone.
I was expecting Courtney Deifel to come get her, but not the case with Heron. It looks like she's done throwing for now. And this is Hodge, who was hit by a pitch and walked. So she has epitomized this night. Twice she's reached with a free pass of sorts and scored both times. There's some grumblings downstairs for the fans that are almost 2 hours into this game.
And I've seen it on both sides of the ball, too. I mean, I'm trying to figure out where the strike zone is myself. If it's just down the middle, it doesn't look like he's giving either team, really. Pitches low, high, side to side.
Feels like there's a lot of nibbling as well, and that's a strike, and it's 2-1. The bottom of the lineup has done an amazing job for LSU getting on base for the top. And Hodge will call time. Hodge, a couple of national championships under her belt at Oklahoma. More playing time this year. There's the bunt. McDowell will pounce on it. Davison covering. Sacrifice works. Arkansas gets the out. LSU advances a pair into scoring position.
And I think that's one of the things that's super important about a lineup is how well can the bottom of your lineup turn it over to the leadoff hitter.
This is McKee. It's a good pitch for a strike on the outside corner. I think they have something going on at Fayetteville High School. Maybe the seniors were posing for a picture. They've been assembling for, it feels like, half the night, and we're only in the top of the 4th inning.
I know. I keep looking at the inning, and I'm like, what is going on?
There's the activity. They're having a good old-fashioned party up there. I think they were posing for maybe a class picture. See, that's not really a competitive pitch at 1-1.
I don't know if she's just losing it off of the side of her hip. I mean, I don't like to make excuses for her, but it could, I don't know, it's something in the air tonight. It's just like none of the pitching has been sharp.
Collectively, again off the corner, 3-1.
It's like they're all just missing by just a hair. It's not a lot. I mean, you've seen some bad pitches, but some of these pitches are, you know, might clip the plate at some point, might not, but they're not missing by too much.
McKee has 1 home run, and Daniel on deck has 2. And there are a couple of smash sisters in the middle of this lineup, but I'll be curious to see if Arkansas will challenge these next couple. Regardless, the count has gone full. Obviously, you don't want to leave anything too good against a pretty good hitting team, but that one's fouled back. Maddox singled and scored just last inning. That floats outside. That's walk number 10. I think if you're Courtney Deifel, I don't think you have a choice right now.
I'm expecting her to get up and maybe come out just to talk to her, to discuss, you know, what they're going to do. Because, I mean, you're getting close to the top of the lineup here with Danica Coffey and then, of course, Jayla Lassiter and Tori Edwards and all of these big hitters in LSU's lineup that could potentially be coming up. This is definitely an out they want to go ahead and get right now.
10 walks to 2 strikeouts. Daniel singled in a run back in the third. Grounds one sharply to Davis, and her throw home is in time. That was a risky play, but it ends up being the right one for the second out.
I think I held my breath a little bit right there, but Davison was able to quickly get her feet around and get her body in the position to fire home. That's a great play right there. I wasn't sure if she was going to have enough time with the speed on third base, but
she had
sure
maybe
enough,
a thought of maybe getting a double play because
yes.
that ball was hit so hard, and she's made 3 nice plays on balls that have really been blistered in her direction. And back to the top of the lineup in Coffey.
And that's something that, I feel like goes unnoticed a lot in softball, at least, is, you're talking about fielding percentage. Arkansas, they have had a great year defensively.
1 error tonight, which was their 18th. But again, there's no margin for error. Bases loaded. The high strike has been the one that Cameron Ellison has given more freely today. And the count 1-1. 45 pitches for Burnham. Lace back to the screen. Coffey twice, his fly to Kramer left, also singled. Tagged to right center field. On the move is Kramer. She will make the catch. The Tigers do not score. LSU has stranded 10 runners in 4 innings. And we just avoided a collision of sorts.
The greatest rush is not rushing at all. The all-new 2025 Nissan Murano. Your oasis, free from new tariffs.
The 3 for Me, only at Chili's, now serves up the all-new Big QP for just $10.99. And that's 85% more beef than some quarter-pound burger. Yeah, hey, fast food, this is how you value meal. This Chili's 3 for Me is the best $10.99 you can eat.
What a quadruple header of softball series finales we have for you Sunday on the SEC Network. Number 15, Alabama against number 11, South Carolina. They start the day at noon Eastern. Then third-ranked Texas will host Kentucky, followed by the 1-2 matchup between Tennessee and Texas A&M. And the Magnolia State rivalry between Ole Miss and Mississippi State caps the day. I think we've got a quadruple header for you tonight here in this game, but that's a lot of softball. We've had a lot of softball because it's in the bottom of the 4th inning in an 8-5 game. LSU has stranded 10. Arkansas had a 7-run first. And Courtney Day, who doubled in a run in her last at bat, will take one down from Vallejo.
I hope I'm wrong, but
Clopton, I should say.
I feel like this game could last as long as probably 2 games by the time it's over.
You might be right.
Hopefully not.
But we have a few more twists and turns, I believe, in this game. We'll just have to figure out what that might be. Clopton, though, she's done a nice job. She wants to be a lawyer and eventually a judge. She wears number 18 because it was her mom's number that was retired in high school. Mom was a pitcher in Kansas, so you got to believe the family's here. It's a little bit easier to get in the car and get from Lawrence. I know the route quite well to get here to Fayetteville. I know the back route. I know the toll route. I know the route to Kansas City and over. I know them all.
I was about to say, we just talked about that before the game with your daughter, and I'm like, must not be too far.
Yeah, she's down the road in Topeka, so I know it well. But for Clopton, got 2 big outs last inning with the bases loaded, so she's got a clean inning of her own, and her team very much in this game. And there is another walk. So Arkansas pitchers have walked 10 and hit a batter. And LSU pitchers have walked 5 and hit a batter.
And I feel like this has been, like we said, a very odd game pitching-wise.
You could say that.
No one looks sharp.
Rio's pop-up is going to end up in the dugout. Heads up over there. Looks like everybody's okay, I hope. Don't hit Brie Ellis. Do not hit Brie Ellis. I don't want it to hit anybody, but I really don't want it to hit Brie Ellis.
Oh my gosh, no.
Arkansas, compared to LSU, is plus 22 on homers, and they've hit 3, all of those in the first. Rio's reached twice, but 0 for 1. She reached on a error in the first inning. Off the end of the bat to Coffey. Strong throw for the first out. Day advances to second.
And you've seen Arkansas's bats cool off a little bit. Now, while they still have the lead, 3-run lead. So really what's going to be important for them is for their pitching to really dig deep and figure out how are they going to stop walking batters. And, you know, even on both sides, you know, Courtney Day on second base, result of a walk. And like you've said, we've seen double-digit numbers and walks.
We've seen our share for the series in 3 or 4 innings. Carly Davison is 0 for 2.
I know, I'm like, please don't walk anyone tomorrow or the next day.
Looks like Ramsey Walker is going to run for Courtney Day. Even though we're a pitch into the sequence. Better late than never. Should be a big run for Arkansas. Again, LSU's already one time brought the tying run to the plate. Davison is 0 for 2 as she takes strike 2.
You know, we've seen them load the bases quite a few times, and I wouldn't want to not score another run right here because you never know. Like you said, it takes one swing to change a game, especially with the bases loaded.
Another play for Coffey, maybe another error on LSU. It has not been a clean game from that standpoint either. Now, Walker did have to hold at second, did not try to advance to third. A little bit of indecision coming forward, and sometimes you play infield with your feet as much as you do your glove. Looks like Davison's going to be given a single, and this is Kennedy Miller. Has a couple of hits, including a 3-run homer. Does she have another one? Lifted to left into the corner, and Leno at the top of the fence will bring it back in.
And off the bat, I thought she had another, and how crazy that would have been. First pitch of both at bats.
Not sure if Leno had a little bit of room before she got to the fence, but she is a tall left fielder who was playing deep and was able to catch that, I believe, above the white line. Here's Reagan Johnson. Takes strike 1. That's one of the borderline pitches that's gone in the favor of the pitcher. See how close she got to the fence. She's reaching for it, so there's a little bit. She's actually touched it.
She just needed a little bit more on that. She just missed that one.
Too much elevation, not enough celebration. Quick appeal to third, and whether Johnson offered. She did not. Into right for a base hit. Walker's going to turn third. The throw goes to third. In standing and safe is Davison. And bringing the pinch runner Walker into the game pays dividends. It's 9-5 Razorbacks.
And that's a great job by Reagan Johnson. She's having a great game. She started up the game with a walk, a single, and now she gets an RBI.
I thought there was a play at the plate.
I did
because
too.
This ball got to Rudity quickly, and there's a little hesitation. Kramer with a ground ball into the hole. Hodge, the shortstop, makes a fine play to end the inning. Frame ends. Arkansas adds to their lead 9-5 as we go, yes, to the 5th. And I would say Coffey was pretty fired up as well to get her golden ticket.
Funny.
Congratulations to both. Jayla Lassiter hit one off the very end of her bat, fouled it away for strike one. The draft, though, is coming up this weekend, so these players are going to find out which team that they will go to. Heady times, to say the least. And Jenny Finch was there in Baton Rouge. Kim Ang was here. I think Amanda Scarborough provided one at Texas A&M. So the presentation's been good. This one blistered down the line and left, and that's inside the pole, and it's gone. Lassiter has a homer, and LSU gets that run right back. It's 9-6.
And Jayla Lassiter, she absolutely waited on her pitch, gets her hands to that inside pitch, and I think off the bat, you knew that ball was gone.
So Lassiter has driven in a run in 3 straight plate appearances tonight. Arkansas worked hard to get that 4-run lead. One swing, it's back to a 3-run game. Thought it might hit the stack that shoots out the smoke and the theatrics there. It may have grazed it. Bajaran has been on base all 3 times as well. For Burnham, I would imagine it was a bit of a interesting weekend at A&M. Her mom, Kendall Richards, holds the program's single-season batting average record in College Station at .454 in 1996. She was there on hand. That one smoked to center for a base hit, and now the heart of the lineup doing some damage. Mom Kendall got some TV time, and the story that was told was fascinating, that Peyton's dad played some minor league baseball, I think the San Angelo Colts, and after graduation, Mom went there and actually suited up and appeared in a couple of games. So she was one of the first female players to play professional baseball.
And I was watching that, and I thought I read it wrong, but I was like, wait, no, this is right. This is right. I mean, hey, it runs in the family, though. At least you can say that.
Right. And I'm sure for Mom, you know, you're watching your daughter pitch at your alma mater, and probably your dad's as well. Right now, Mom's probably a little more on the edge of her seat, because here's Edwards, and a long ball again would make this a 1-run game. And I said this a million times today, there's still nobody out.
I feel like we've been in this position a lot tonight. The best hitters up, you have runners on and no outs. That seems like the theme of the night, even for both sides. The best hitters in the lineup are coming up with 1 or no outs, and who knows? We'll see what happens right here with Tori Edwards today. She's 0 for 2, so she's definitely probably thinking like, okay, I'm ready now. I'm ready to go.
I think you're right. This LSU team has left 10 through 4 innings, so it feels like they've lacked that big swing. They're hoping Edwards or maybe Rudity on deck would provide one. Last inning, Burnham walked 3, but LSU did not score. It's been a homer and a single already, and that is another walk.
And I'm wondering if we'll see Coach Courtney Deifel come out right here. You know, we saw Robin Heron in the bullpen in the last inning, but it looks like she's not going to come out. She's going to let her work through this right here, and we're back in the same scenario. We have runners on first and second via the walk.
Makes me wonder if there's just a thought that we don't want to bring Robin back in at all, even though she was in the bullpen, because there have been a couple of somewhat tense moments, considering, again, when you're up 7-0 in the first, you've kind of mentally checked this off as a W. And it's not the case.
Absolutely, but that goes to show you the depth of this league, of the SEC. You do not want to give up, even in the first inning. I mean, look at the score now. It's a 3. They're in a, you know, LSU's in a 3-run deficit, which is totally doable. They have plenty of at-bats left, but on the other side of it for Arkansas, about, you know, Robin Heron coming back in to take over for the freshman, you kind of juggle with, do you want it? We need to get this win no matter what, but at the same time, you do not want them to have too many at-bats off of the ace.
3 of Arkansas's runs that were scored were unearned, and that is the difference in this game. Arkansas pitchers have walked 11, maybe trending towards 12. Rudity has walked twice.
And I absolutely feel like this is a game that the Razorbacks cannot afford to let slip away from them, especially being at home and, you know, going up 7 runs in the first inning and being this close.
Games like this almost feel like more than one. More than one win, more than one loss.
No doubt.
Hard hit. Ellis has got it. They're going to say that's a fair ball. So that's the first out. Brie Ellis had a sprawl across the chalk and retire Rudity. 2 runners move up, however, on the first out. That's borderline right there. She got it pretty close to the chalk. I'm not convinced it was on it, but regardless, here's Leno.
At least they have one out, I guess.
They do. Leno's walked twice and scored 0 for 1 officially. You know, we talk a lot about what teams do with base runners. LSU has been good with runners in scoring position this season. In fact, entering play tonight, they were at .358 with runners in scoring position. The only teams better in this league, Florida, Oklahoma, and Texas. Well, they've had nothing but runners in scoring position in this game.
I was about to say they have had no issue getting runners on base tonight.
Tagged. Johnson on the move, won't get there. This is going to score a pair. Leno in at second base. This is a 1-run game. It's 9-8. And that's a big hit with runners in scoring position for LSU. Avery Hodge now with a base hit could tie things up. Burnham has thrown more balls than strikes at this point. So again, with 3 runs home this inning, trying to mix things up, that did not miss by much.
And I think at this point, maybe call another timeout, go talk to the freshman, let her settle down just a little bit. It is a 1-run game, so anything could happen, but I still struggle with the fact of, do you really want to bring Robin Heron back in, but you do want to walk away with the win?
Just wondering if everything's okay, if there's another factor involved. Burnham is trying to soldier on. She's not been sharp. That one out to right. And Wyckoff will make the catch. Did the runner leave a bit early? The throw's going to go to third. Leno will tag.
I think she did leave early at second base. I'm not 100% sure, but that would definitely be something I'm going to challenge.
I believe that's Ramsey Walker in right rather than Wyckoff, and that's going to be the call. Both of us, KB, saw it, that Leno left early, and I believe they're going to obviously take a look at this.
The ruling on the field during the dead ball appeal was that the runner did not tag up on time. LSU is challenging that ruling. Previous plays under further review.
The cardinal rule is never make the third out at third or home.
No.
And on a diving catch, I don't think she had to leave early, but it felt like to me in real time she did. And we'll be able to, I believe, break this down and take a look. If this is the case and this holds, this is a break for the Razorbacks and a costly one for LSU.
It is, and let's not let the play go unnoticed either, though. Like, Ramsey Walker, I'm not sure if she was in the field last inning, but new girl gets the ball. She looks like she was pretty ready for it. Makes a great diving catch, but I still think she left early. I mean, hopefully we get a good look at it here on a replay. I hope they get the right angle.
And again, a nice play from Walker in right. She dropped a fly ball the other day at A&M, but right field at A&M last weekend, there must have been a hex on right fielder. It must have been tough to see. There was one ball after another that should have been caught that wasn't. Going to get a replay review.
After review, the ruling on the field has changed. The runner left on time. Runner be placed at third base.
How about
Two
that?
outs. This is LSU's first
Wow.
challenge.
We
She
never got a
didn't?
peek. She did not leave early.
I felt like we both called it right off as soon as she caught it. It was like she was already a couple steps. They might not have had the view of it.
But if they didn't have a view, the call should have stood on the field. So obviously, I think they had something that we didn't see. And that means the tying run is at third for McKee. Arkansas was hoping just by the good fortune to get an out when they've been so difficult to come by. '70th pitch in relief for Burnham.
And I would assume Burnham right here, after giving up those 2 runs, would hope to come away with the third out right here, especially with there being a runner on third, because that's something good she can take away from this inning.
Kramer pursuing. Won't get there. Let's go back and see if we can find a better angle.
Oh no, she was.
She was on the
Yep.
base.
It's a lot closer than I thought.
It was such a quick call by our umpiring crew
Yeah.
that gave us validation for at least a few seconds. That's the pitch that I think Arkansas really wants to rein in, and maybe in part by, I think we've seen some non-competitive pitches. That was a competitive pitch, but they didn't get the call.
And I feel like this has been going all game. They're just missing on the outer corner. They're missing a little bit low, a little bit high, and
Another
I don't
play.
know. It just might be a small zone.
Tell you what, Davison's played a good second base. So LSU gets 3 runs. They strand the tying run at third, and we still got very much a game. She's walked twice already today, giving her 48 walks on the season. You see the on-base percentage. Slugging and on-base combined provides you that OPS, and Brie's on her way to shattering the record. They haven't been tracking it that long in college softball, but she's well on her way. And, you know, as much as Arkansas would like to see Brie being pitched to, they wouldn't mind finding another run or 2 at some points. Take that base run.
Absolutely. And, you know, you never know. Like, we've seen great things come out of Ella McDowell 50% of the time when Brie Ellis gets walked. So who's to say Ella McDowell might bow up on one right here and get one to go over the fence. I thought she had just missed one earlier on in the game, but I think she caught it on the end of the bat. But I would have to walk Brie Ellis too. I would, once again, not let the best hitter beat me.
No, and Ella today is singled in 3 at-bats. It's going to be one heck of a race in the SEC for the Freshman of the Year. And obviously, we talked about Edwards. I don't know if her numbers can be beaten, but Nellie McEnroe Marinas at Oklahoma, I think, has more homers than any hitter in SEC only play. So she's been really good. Edwards has been fantastic. Ella McDowell has just found a different gear in the last 3 weeks. In a league that has probably never been older, the future is bright as well around the SEC.
Absolutely. And to hit over 400 in SEC play, I mean, you're doing something really good when you're hitting over 400 in SEC play.
Just no doubt. She's one of 25 finalists for the Freshman of the Year nationally. Second in conference play in runs batted in. She expanded the zone just a bit and pops one in the air down the right field line. Nice sliding catch by Rudity. And the throw's a wild one. LSU's already committed 3 errors, but that was one of the times I think Ella went outside the zone and flew out to right in a nice play as well.
I think Ella McDowell is a little anxious on that, wanting to put something into play there. I think if she just settles down a little bit and stays within herself and doing what she's been doing the last 11, 12 games, it'll all work out for her.
That's a menacing eye black for Mackenzie Rudity. Nice play. She almost overran it just a bit in that sliding grab. Wyckoff is homered, part of a 1-for-3 game. Again, Arkansas Their lead is down to 1. I would say, to me, it feels like a lot of the momentum is in LSU's favor. They've scored 6 of the last 7 runs in this game. And let's give Clopton credit. She has done a nice job. She's given up only 1 run since she has entered.
You know, really this game too, even though where we are in LSU's lineup, the end of their lineup has been the ones that have been getting on base.
Completely agree. That's a non-competitive pitch, however, and it's 3-0. Courtney Day's waiting on deck. It's the one benefit of having her batting in the 6-0. If there's runners on in front of Day. Over the inside corner, just catching a little bit of the plate for a strike. Arkansas, though, when you look at the combined numbers in the SEC between walks and hit batters, if you add them together, there's no team in the SEC that's taken more freebies than have the Hawks. And there's another one right there, second walk this inning. So while the Razorback pitchers have been way too welcoming, LSU pitchers have also fought that battle with the strike zone a bit tonight.
Absolutely. And, you know, overall, before we started this game, Arkansas coming in with a team on base percentage around 450. That's pretty good. You're getting close to getting on base 50% of the time. So that goes to show you the patience that the Razorbacks have, whether, like you said, it's getting hit or taking a walk. But I think that's a great walk right there to have Courtney Day come up with 2 runners on. You know, she has 14 home runs. They're still in a pretty dangerous position right here.
Casey Wood is going to come on and run for Brie Ellis. Brie's probably saying, hey, I scored all the way from first on a ball in the corner earlier in the game, but this recognizes the importance of scoring this run. With Ramsey Walker running last inning, she scored on I thought maybe a borderline single. No swing there from Day, and right now that run is the difference in this game. Weird to be saying that.
It's crazy that it's only the 5th inning and it's 9-8. I keep looking at the scoreboard because it feels like, you know, this is the last inning, whatever.
Oh, no. The Clopton's back pumping strikes after that walk. She's jumped ahead of Day, or actually the count's 1-1, now 2-1. Day has reached all 3 times, although one was on an error back in the first. 14 homers and 58 runs batted in for Courtney Day. Texas baseball team is in town and getting handled by the Razorbacks. She was a longtime member of the Texas softball team. In fact, one that went to the College World Series, emerging out of a super regional here in Fayetteville. Wouldn't chase the rise. Count's gone full.
She's putting up a good at bat right here.
See if she gets a pitch to hit. She does.
She
Smokes one to
absolutely
left.
did.
Up, out, gone. Off the Kona ice truck. How about the 4th multi-run homer of the night for the Razorbacks? Number 15 for Courtney Day. The cool vibes are carrying around Bogle Park.
And as I said, Courtney Day up, runners on first and second, 14 home runs. It's still a dangerous spot to be pitching to Courtney Day with runners on base, because we both know she can hit the ball hard and far.
KB, if you go back at all 4 homers Arkansas has hit tonight, I think 3 of the 4 have
Inside.
been belt high over the plate.
Yes.
I don't think that's where Clopton wanted it. That's where Courtney Day wanted to see it land. Mile-high pop-up from Rhea. Daniel underneath it. Oh, boy. That just about snuck out of that glove. Not sure if we had the shot or not, but that ball was rattling around inside that glove. The catch was made. Three runs on 1 hit this inning, 2 walks in the bomb. Good pitch to Davison.
And I think all the home runs have been
Yep.
home runs
2
tonight.
2s, 2 3s.
I mean, that's getting it done, I would have to say. But like we talked about, Arkansas will score, and then LSU will come back.
You know, it's been a funny night, and LSU's made some errors. There's been a ton of base runners. Even this is a pop-up. Watch this ball kind of rattle around that glove a little bit.
You know what else? I will say the lights at night, to me, sometimes are worse than the sun. I don't know why. It just depends on what field you're playing on. But if you catch the ball at the wrong time in the light, you actually cannot see any of it.
Well, that's good insight. Davison 1 for 3 will wave and miss. Arkansas has 12 runs on 9 hits. When you hit 4 multi-run homers, that may indeed be the case.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, for head coach Courtney Deifel here, it's like, come on, pitchers, let's go. Like, we've put up 12 runs. You know, you can't ask your hitters to do more than what they've done tonight.
Shutout Sunday at A&M for the second time this year. 12 runs this evening, and they're not comfortable yet either, because LSU has just been fighting all night with base runners, and quite frankly, they're probably frustrated with their 11 runners left on base. A couple of big numbers in an otherwise odd game. Baseball's about to go final. This game is in the bottom of the 5th. Baseball's done. I guess they can come from Baum Walker and come over here and watch.
Did we
softball.
start at the same time?
We started at the exact same time.
That's not something you hear often, or maybe ever.
No.
Baseball finishing before softball.
A 9-inning baseball game
My gosh.
finished before we can complete 5 innings.
Oh, they did go 9?
Went 9.
Oh my gosh.
1 run shy of the run rule earlier. Wave and a miss from Davison, and the inning ends. Well, KB, Courtney Day had one big swing this frame for Arkansas.
Courtney Day getting her pitch, and as we discussed, she leaves it belt high, elevated, and she does not hesitate. As soon as you heard the crack of the bat, it was gone.
Our game summary features a scoreboard that looks like a tote board at Oaklawn right now in the 6th race with 12-8, Arkansas in front. Each team has used 9 pitchers. I don't think that number is right. It's 11 walks allowed by Arkansas pitchers. So it's a case we've kind of beaten the same drum, where Arkansas pitchers have been given some runs, and to see if they might be able to put the clamps down on this one. Daniel will lead off 9-1-2 for the Tigers.
And I'm not sure, besides the first inning, or even the first inning, if we've had a clean inning yet from either team.
No. That would be a no. That would be a not close.
It definitely feels like we haven't.
Picked up by Burnham, but her throw's wide, and Davison did catch it. That bat was in the way as well. Did the ball hit the bat a second time?
I don't know, and
Courtney's out to ask. But I
She-
think the bat's in play, though.
does she have a challenge left?
We had a minor league game recently where the bat was broken, went flying, and the ball hit it again. Let's see what transpired here.
Oh, I don't know. I'll definitely be able to tell from this angle. It absolutely hit
So
the
she
bat
dropped
twice.
the bat,
Yeah,
and it hit it the second time, which actually pushed it
coming back
further
up
out in
into the
front of
bat,
the
potentially.
plate.
that's a great eye right there by the Arkansas coaching staff. I mean, from up here, I couldn't really see.
I can't see home plate, and I saw it, but the only question was, when it's not intentional and the ball hits the bat again, is it still in play? Because she's
No.
inside the box.
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure she would have to go back to the box. I could be wrong. I don't think it can hit the bat twice, though.
Shane Jackson has been busy. These reviews go off-site in conference games. We need another delay, though, just to add some spice.
Just to keep the innings all even with each other.
Yes. But the impact of the bat a second time actually helped graze it and push it away from the plate, which allowed Daniel to beat it. Arkansas was lucky they didn't throw the ball down the right field line because Davison was trying to get over to cover from her second base position.
And she looks to be still in the box there, but I want to say with 2 hits on the bat, she's going back to the box. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think you can do that.
This might be more of a rule book
I think so.
interpretation.
Because she's still in the box, so she's not out.
It's a lot of conversation between our umpires in addition to what they're probably discussing back with headquarters. Here we go.
After review, the bunt did come back up and hit the bat a second time while it was out of the possession of the batter. However, by rule, that is not reviewable. The result of the play stands as it's called. Arkansas has their challenge
So they
back.
reviewed it to say it wasn't reviewable? Courtney's looking at her cheat sheet, and I bet she's looking to see if this is on her list of reviewable situations.
Have they not reviewed this a lot of the times in games where it hits the bat twice? They review this play all the time, I feel like. I've seen this reviewed in other games before, so I'm not sure what makes this one different or not able to be reviewed.
She's pointing to her sheet. So if it's not reviewable, should that count as one of your reviews? Or should they just give that back to you?
I feel like like I said, I've seen that in a lot of games where they will go back, and I feel like it was Florida 2 weekends ago. They went back to look at a bunt. It's the same play, so I'm a little confused on that call.
Somewhere in the area of 13-ish reviewable plays, but there is another base runner on board for LSU as we're back to the top of the lineup. In every inning other than the first, they've had their leadoff runner on. In that first inning, they had the bases loaded, did not score.
And they're coming back to the top of their lineup with Danica Coffey, and like we talked about, every inning it seems like you have Jayla Lassiter, you have Tori Edwards. They're getting back to the core of their lineup, but you know, even though it is the top, the best part of their lineup, the bottom part of that lineup has been performing, which you know we might see come up in the 7th inning.
Coffey's 1 for 4. Well, that was at the bottom of the zone, called a strike. What's interesting, Coffey's one of the best on-base performers in LSU history.
I would believe it.
And that one's down for a base hit, and my goodness, there's 2 on again. I was about to say she's only been on 1 time in 4 at-bats, but she's on again, and there's 2 runners on base with nobody out.
I mean, it's crazy that stat you said about 2. It's her 5th at bat or 4th.
5th?
I mean, it doesn't feel like it'd be 5 at bats already, but I guess with all the walks that we have seen on both sides of the ball,
It felt like her 7th for me, and here comes Courtney Deifel, and she will make a change. And this will be interesting to hear the comments tonight or tomorrow on maybe the decisions to leave pitchers in and take them out, whatever the case may be. Heron will come back in. 75 pitches from Burnham. We'll be right back.
The SEC is the best conference out there.
Gets a hold of it, no doubter, smashes that one out of the park.
Every kid is going to want to play in the SEC.
This is where you want to be if you're a softball fan. That's just filthy.
It's truly amazing to see all of the talent that the SEC has. Anyone in the SEC could beat anyone, no matter what day it is.
Conference tournament starts Tuesday in Georgia. Here's your last 4 champions. Arkansas back in 2022. Alabama 2021. So you were part of 2 of those 4?
I was.
You have half of the last 4.
I know. So really, it was a really cool experience at both schools. But with Arkansas, we won the SEC and the tournament in the same year, which was super, super cool. And I don't know how many times that's, ever been done before, but it was really special to do both because it is hard, especially in a tournament.
Really hard.
It's a long tournament. It's kind of like a 3-game series when you start in the top 4, though. You only have to play, I think it's 3 games. It might have changed this year.
So Heron back in. She walked 5 in an inning and a third. And she's missed on her first 2 pitches to Lassiter. And by the way, the 3 and 4 hitters to follow. Lassiter homered back in the 5th. Well, that's not close.
I am not, sometimes pitchers, they don't have it. Same thing with the hitters. Sometimes it's just not your day. And not just Robin, every pitcher today I feel like has had a really difficult time finding the strike zone.
But it almost makes you wonder if it's more than just a off night, so to speak, because now the bases are loaded and the tying run is at the plate and there's still nobody out.
Well, as we were discussing before we came back to the game and we're on break, the strike zone I feel like has gotten smaller as the years have gone on. And, that could be a result of all the walks, pitchers not getting that river pitch like they used to get, not getting that corner pitch. But tonight, without a doubt.
Oh, my goodness, what's going on here? Matt Michael came sprinting out of the dugout. Coach Torina as well.
What just happened?
All of a sudden, the temperatures got ratcheted up.
I'm assuming Coach Michael maybe have caught someone that wasn't re-entered. I mean, he took off. I've never seen him run before.
This must be a protest of some sort. He wanted to get to our plate umpire before Beth Torina did. I've never seen a foot race to win an appeal.
It makes it any funnier because if you know Coach Matt Michael, he is so funny to me, and just for him to take off and run to get to home plate.
Did we have some type of re-entry? Because I'm looking at the box score right now, and again, I swear there must be a full moon out there.
Have you ever seen that happen before? The coaches foot racing each other to get to the umpire?
No, but we reviewed a play that wasn't reviewable this inning. So again,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
If you're Robin, you almost want Heron to throw a few more pitches while she has this opportunity. Courtney Deifel comes out as well. Beth Torina talking to one of the umpires while 2 others visit with Arkansas staff. This is where I know we talk about this all the time from a television standpoint. With all the technology, can we get an explanation of some sort? Time was called. And it was a foot race to Cameron Ellison.
I hope they have a better angle because this has to be a meme. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
We got everybody it's like a Secret Service convention. Everybody's got their earpieces in talking to somebody else. The tying run is at the plate. There's nobody out. The heart of the lineup for LSU. Heron just issued a walk, and I think she now is going to try and resume a little bit of throwing if they can clear the traffic out from the plate, because she's been standing for such a long time. She's telling the umpires, get the heck out of the way. My pitcher needs to throw.
But I think what's even funnier is Coach Torina is he walks out of the dugout, she starts walking, and I think he notices she's walking, so he's like, no, I'm going to sprint, and then she comes running just as fast after him.
I mean, we've got lineup cards.
I cannot believe the last set too is what cracked me up. Oh my gosh.
Does it have anything to do with Daniel, who got on to start this inning because Bedell pinch hit for her in the third? I don't know what other type of maybe potential re-entry it could have been. There's a pinch runner, Townsend, on base that didn't show up immediately in the box score.
I mean, there's no way there's a rule in the rule book that talks about coaches chasing each other and who's going to win the race. So I don't really know what they're going to do right here.
I think they should race to the foul pole and back. So I think Townsend pinch ran in the fifth. And
yes,
Bergeron is batting here. We're going to get an explanation. God help us.
Number 12 came back into the game and took one pitch without being legally re-entered into the game. Arkansas was the first to draw the attention of the umpire. By rule, after the pitch is thrown, that batter is out and declared officially in the game. Number 12 is out and is entered into the game.
Just when you think you've seen everything, you would be wrong. So Matt Michael won the appeal, and he won the foot race.
and I think what's even funnier about that is if you know Coach Matt Michael, he loves to crack jokes all the time, so just seeing him serious in that moment and running is even funnier.
Now, Edwards still represents the tying run, but there is one out. So Herring gets the out, and her control issues continue. I would say if you're LSU, how does that happen?
Well, I don't want to say not paying attention, maybe just forgetting, and that's going to happen, you know, in the heat of the game. There's been a lot go on in the game.
You see Edwards has 4 grand slams this year. A long ball here, another grand slam would tie this game at 12 apiece. So Bergeron gets the 2 unassisted out, so that is the first out of this inning that Arkansas desperately needs. But Edwards, with 18 homers, takes one a little bit off the corner. And now the fans are all fired up.
And I understand the frustration. You see it on both sides of the ball. I mean, it's hard to tell from that angle if it clipped the corner, but I would say that's pretty close.
I would say it's out, but again, that's a mile-high fly ball to right field. That's Wyckoff back in the game. Her throw, I think, needs to go to third.
2-2.
Throw goes to second
Did she get her?
base. And how about LSU running themselves into a double play?
And they finally went to second base.
They went to second. Lassiter says, no. So are we going to review this one again? I thought the throw should have gone to third because there was no chance to get Daniel, but by cutting it off, Ellis threw to second base, and LSU may have completely bungled this inning if that out stands.
And I would say, too, the whole time in the headset, they've missed on that every inning. It feels like not getting that runner when they're cutting it off.
Remember, LSU won a replay review earlier on a runner tagging and being fully in the right. So Edwards is going to get an RBI, so it should be a 12-9 game, but Ellis with the cut. The throw wasn't perfect, But Rio applied the tag to Lassiter, and let's see if we have a better angle, because the throw again was to the third base side, and
Oh, I think she was safe. I think she got her hand around. I can't really tell 100%. Oh,
I think she's safe too. I think you're going to have a higher resolution look at that, however.
I wonder if it'll be one of those where they don't have enough evidence to overturn it.
Well, the Hogs are hoping for that. LSU hoping that they have a better angle, because they would have the tying run still at the plate with 2 runners in scoring position. In baseball, they go to Birmingham. Maybe softball goes to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh might want to go.
After further review, the ruling is changed. The runner is safe at second base. That is LSU's second and final challenge of the game.
So Brie Ellis's throw was just not on line. So that is the second time the Tigers have benefited from a review, even though they had their own clerical error this inning.
And that's a beautiful slide by Jayla Lassiter. She picks that left hand up, gets that right arm around, and she knew it too. She called it the whole time.
The swim move, in essence.
And hey, we've been saying it all game. Why haven't they cut that ball off and gone to second? Well, hey, maybe that's why.
And maybe only one pitch later, the inning ends. So it seems like Heron's kind of fighting her way back into this one. This has been the most bizarre game of the year. Prove me wrong, somebody. Twelve to 9's our score. Arkansas led 7-0 after an inning. LSU has made this thing more than tight. I went to break saying this is the craziest softball game I have seen in any amount of time. Prove me wrong. I'm still Brett. She's still KB. The floor is yours.
I know. I mean, I'm sitting up here calling 2-2 in the headset. Like, come on, girls. Somebody get an out. This game I've never seen. We have Coach Michael, Coach Tarina, so many walks, so many home runs. It's insane.
It is. Arkansas has had 4 multi-run homers. They have 12 runs, and they've been fighting for their life. Arkansas has used 3 pitchers, brought Heron back for a second time. Clopton has been the third that has been in the game for the Tigers. This is Miller, Johnson, and Kramer. Miller has 1 3-run homer and just missed another long ball. But
I mean, it's been a 3-hour game, but it's been an entertaining game at that.
3 hours, and we're not through 6 innings. Baseball started at the same time. They played 8.5, and they have been done for a while.
I mean, after the first inning, I was not expecting a game like this.
No,
I mean,
you're
7
right.
runs is...
Well, if you're LSU, you have stranded 13 runners on base in 6 innings. You've won 2 reviews that have calls overturned. You lost the clerical error and the foot race. And oh, goodness gracious.
The foot race will go down in history for me. I don't think I've ever seen that in my entire life.
I can't say I have either. Ava Carter is going to run for Kennedy Miller, who drew the walk. And let's hope Kennedy re-enters when we go to the 7th inning, or we might have another foot race. So Reagan Johnson in pursuit of her 3rd hit. She's up to 61 on the season, a couple of years of 70 or more. So here we go, Reagan. And as she entered play tonight, I mentioned that she, and I'm updating the numbers as we go, is 28 for her last 62. That's good.
Absolutely. She's almost hitting 500 in those last 62 at-bats. And, you know, as we talked about, Reagan Johnson has really settled in and stepped up as that leadoff hitter. Everyone knows she's a great leadoff hitter. I think everyone was just waiting on her to get on base more, to put the ball in play a little bit more. And like you said, she's using small ball a lot more than what she was at the beginning of the season.
Successfully, too. By the way, Bajaran is catching. Reagan Johnson serves one to second. Quick play by Daniel retires Reagan as the pinch runner Carter goes to second. So even 12 runs into this game, Arkansas is still in that position of feeling like they need to get some insurance.
I absolutely would not be comfortable with where they are right now. I mean, we've sat here and watched this game for 3 hours, and it has been back and forth all game. Some very weird things have gone on, but nothing's out of the question at this point.
I think for Arkansas, as much as they'd like to get some insurance, it's the way Robin Herron kind of found it in those last 2 batters in the top of this inning that maybe give them a little more optimism.
And maybe it's something in the air, because every pitcher I feel like has struggled that we've seen tonight on LSU and Arkansas to find the strike zone.
No, you're right. It's been a combination of feeling like they've clipped a little bit of the parameters of the zone versus some pitches where they haven't been close enough. So it's been a little bit of both. Kramer tomahawks one to second. Another play for Daniel. Now 2 gone in the frame as the pinch runner Carter goes to third. And I would be stunned if Brie Ellis isn't issued another free pass as she comes to the plate. She had her 25th homer in the first. She has since walked 3 times and scored 3 runs. The one thing I don't know if we mentioned enough, and they, put you around her. Brie does not lead the SEC in RBI. She came in 4th. She was number 1 in walks over Coffey, and she's extended that lead. But it is the volume of runs that she is going to score as well that's going to be a number that I think is going to be a little bit startling for a power hitter. But when you're on base as much as she is, the runs just keep on coming, because with her 3 tonight, she has scored 60 runs in 47 games.
That's incredible for Brie Ellis. I mean, I know she probably gets very frustrated, especially being walked, but as a hitter, you have to sit back and think, I must be pretty good if they're just going to walk me every time.
It's the ultimate sign of respect. Now, if they put something on where she would try and get in a rundown between first and second, that would cap the night to try and allow Carter to score. McDowell will ground one into the hole. Hodge there, one Richmond, Texas native, taking care of the other. Nice play to end the inning, and Arkansas's turn to strand a runner at third base. We go to the 7th. You said it couldn't be done. LSU needs 3 to tie. Someone's had to update this thing all night, the game summary. 14 runners left on base for LSU. I had it as 13, so I need to double check that myself. But regardless, KB, that might be the number that the Tigers look back on the most.
Well, and then you cross-reference that with the Razorbacks walking 12 batters. To me, that would be a little bit like, hey guys, this is unacceptable, because that equals to LSU's runners they have left on base.
Well, I think that is accurate. 14 left on base, so I've been 1 off since the 3rd. Leno doubled in a couple of runs in the 5th to make this a 1-run game. Herron started and now trying to finish in what has not been her sharpest game by any stretch, but she got the fly out from Edwards, she got the comebacker from Rudity, and she got the beneficiary of the 2 unassisted out when Bergeron was called out because she didn't re-enter, I guess, in the lineup car. So
I think I'm going to go back and watch that like 100 times. That was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
It was close. Courtney Deifel last Friday got career win number 350 at Arkansas. I would say if she gets this one tonight, there will not have been many like it before.
I don't know if anyone's ever had a game like this one before.
2-2 the count to Leno, who's been on base 3 times. Found back. You drove something like 7 hours to be here today. Your parents drove longer than that, and you guys, the Sideses, are still going strong.
We are. My mom's still sitting up there watching the game on her phone. I absolutely got a little tired, but she bought me a pretzel, so everything's fine.
All right. Little fuel.
Little Coke. Everything's good to go. Nice cold Coke.
I think Herron would love to see the leadoff hitter retired for the first time in a long, long time. And McDowell is there. She's got it. That is a comment, an oddity in this game. McDowell was trying to get to that screen, and our third base umpire was trying to do the same. Make sure you don't see that ball graze the screen. And maybe there was a little help where the Razorbacks pulling that screen back.
I think they were, and I mean, that takes tremendous focus by Ella McDowell right there. I mean, I thought it was going to be closer than what it was.
What a great shot, though, to see everybody pulling that screen back to give her a few extra inches as Hodge will bat. Hodge just made a couple of nice plays at short in the hole this evening.
And for her size, she has a cannon on her arm.
Yes, she does. Robin was not Robin-like in the first couple of innings. She came back in, and the first batter she faced, it was more of the same, and it felt like maybe she's flipped that switch. Nice pitch.
We're absolutely seeing that from Robin Heron right there. I believe that was an off-speed pitch, and Avery Hodge, she goes down swinging. So, like you just said, Robin Heron said, nope, it's 7th inning. We're going to be done right here.
Heron's on a hog pod, and I believe she said she doesn't even know who the batters are. She kind of focuses one pitch at a time. Well, she focused on that pitch. It was a beauty. LSU down to its final out, but they will not go quietly into this night. McKee will send one to left center field. Has played back in nicely, but now LSU in a position where they need one more base runner, and they will bring the tying run to the plate. And if it's Daniel who can get on, and she's been on base 3 times today, it would turn the lineup over for Coffey and then Lassiter. So the Tigers have out-hit Arkansas 11-9, but trailed 12-9. Okay, pretty good pitch, maybe a little bit down.
Like we've talked about all game long, the zone seems to be extremely, extremely tight. And the difference for Arkansas in this game is the home runs.
No doubt. 4 home runs for Arkansas, a pair of 2-run homers, a pair of 3-run homers, and LSU has left 14 runners on base. Daniel had the bunt single where her bat hit it twice, and it wasn't reviewable after we reviewed it. That was another oddity that we forgot to recap.
I know, and this game has been going on for so long, I was starting to second guess myself, but you absolutely cannot hit the ball twice, but I wonder why it's not a reviewable play.
Seems like with all the technology, it should be, right?
Yes, I agree.
2-1 the count. This becomes an important sequence again because Coffey is on deck as the potential tying run. Hard hit, Rio spears it. And this game will end the strangest, most bizarre game you will see in a long, long time. But the Razorbacks with a 7-run first hold on for a 12-9 victory to start this series. 15 left on base for LSU tonight.
And I mean, I don't know to describe this as a nail biter or what kind of game it was, but it was something, I will say that.
It was something, and guess what? We'll be back for Game 2 tomorrow for a 6 o'clock start Central Time. So for KB Sides and our entire crew hanging with us tonight, I'm Brett Dolan, thanking you for tuning in. Once again, our final